I'm going to do a quick mic check. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. How do I sound, everybody? Let me know in the chat. Good, good. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual World Cup. So happy to have you with us for this broadcast. This is the big one. We've been waiting all tournament long to crown a champion, and today we wait no more. We are about 3 hours away from having a world champion, and it will be either India, or the United States. Today is Saturday, August 15th, 2020. It is 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It is about 8:30 p.m. in India, 11 a.m. on the east coast of the U.S., and 8 a.m. on the west coast of the U.S., where I'm coming at you. I am Evans Clinchy, and I am very, very excited for this one. We have been at it for about 6 weeks now in the Virtual World Cup. We began with 16 teams. They were all wide-eyed and optimistic and hoping to win this thing, and now there are only 2 teams left with a chance to win it all. It is India, it is the U.S. One will be your world champion in a matter of hours. Let's take a quick look at the championship bracket and look at how these teams got here. India advanced out of Group A in pool play. They faced Australia in the first round of the playoffs and won 13-12. And then in the semifinals, they beat Canada, also 13-12. So just narrowly sneaking into these finals. For the U.S., they emerged as the first place winner in Group D in pool play. And they stormed through their quarterfinal against Singapore, winning 18-7. And then narrowly last week beat Pakistan in the semis, winning 13-12. So it's the India and the U.S., the last 2 teams standing, and one will win today the world title. Taking a look at the starting lineups. For India, your 5 starters are the usual 5: Akshay Bandarkar, Sherwin Rodriguez, Udayan Grover, Nakul Prabhu, and Aditya Iyengar. And for the U.S., it's Conrad Bessier-Bouchard, whose name won't fit on the screen, Jesse Day, Austin Shin, Will Anderson, and Dave Wiegand. So if this is your first time watching the Virtual World Cup, just a quick look at the format of the match. A World Cup match consists of 25 games in all. It is a 5x5 competition with 5 U.S. players and 5 India players. Each player plays each player once. 25 games in total. First team to win 13 is your world champion. Your matchups for round 1 will be Akshay versus Dave, Sherwin versus Conrad, Udayan versus Jesse, Nakul versus Austin, and Aditya versus Will. So that'll be a battle of the 2 streamers, by the way, as Aditya and Will are both members of our Virtual World Cup streaming team on Twitch during this tournament, so that's really cool. Definitely want to watch those guys if I get a chance to. So to everybody in the chat, welcome aboard. Happy to have you with us. This should be a really great show. I'm really looking forward to seeing these 2 top teams do battle, and this is going to be great. I'm going to take a quick look now and see if anybody is online beginning their matches, as they should be, and it looks like everybody but Jesse Day is online. Imagine that, Jesse Day. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at whoever's getting started first, and it looks like we've got a match going on now between Dr. Bing, Dave Wiegand on your left, and on your right, Akshay B. Akshay for the Indian team. So we are just getting underway with your Virtual World Cup finals, and looks like Dave has opened the match with Bunko, B-U-N-C-O, for 24, and it's back to Akshay to play his first move of the game. Bevu comes down from Akshay, and it's a little bit of an awkward vowel-heavy rack for Dave on his second turn. Okay, good. All 10 players are now officially online, including Jesse Day, ready to begin their matches. So this should be good. Bevu comes down from Akshay, and now it's back to Dave with this, again, awkward rack, looking at ways that he can kind of unload some of these vowels, and there aren't really very many great ones. I'm seeing plays like Vi. At least that gets rid of the duplicate E's and I's, and it scores a little bit, 16. You'd love to have something a little bit more powerful than that, but tough rack. Not much you can do with it. Looks like the other players are getting their games underway as well. We could definitely hop around and look at some other games as the match goes on, but I'm going to stick with Dave and Akshay for a little bit. These are, of course, 2 of the top players in the world. Akshay was the WESPA champion in 2017. He won the WESPA championship in Nairobi, Kenya. And Dave has had many, many, many top finishes at Worlds, as well as a couple of national championships in the U.S. I see a suggestion in the chat of Vibey here for Dave. Definitely that is an option, yeah. It scores a little bit less than the Vi play I was offering up, but perhaps a little bit more balanced. Well, Ivy is the choice. IVY for 16 from Dr. Bing. Keeping duplicate E's. E-E-I-S will be his lead. That'll be interesting. So now it's back to Akshay. Not really anywhere near Bigling, but a nice balanced rack that he can probably do some damage with scoring-wise. Not the easiest board to use these letters, though. He does have the T-hook on Ivy for Tibby. but I'm not immediately seeing a great way to capitalize on that spot. I see Weibin in the chat. Welcome to Weibin. 66 bingos so far for Dr. Bing in this tournament. I want to say he had 17 in just the 5 games he played last week against Pakistan, which is insane, like 3.5 per game. So pellet is the choice from Akshay, a nice long word to open things up a little bit. Oh, so I'm seeing in the chat that Aditya has opened with a 102-point bingo against Will, so he's going to be up and running. A nice start for India in that regard. Looks like we don't currently have the bots in the chat. I could maybe pester Benji or somebody and see if they can get those going, or maybe Jeremy if he's around. So another awkward vowel-heavy rack for Dave. He keeps 2 E's and he draws a third one. He's now got a E-E-E-I-S-T. Would love to have that R for eateries, but he doesn't. It's a little bit awkward. But he does play through the E's with Epi. That looks pretty solid. And it's back to Akshay, who's got the opposite problem. Too many consonants, not enough vowels. Close game here, 61-52. Akshay down by just 9 points. Great thing about having too many consonants is at least you can score points with them. Although it's not the easiest to... Okay, Brack, that's a solid play. Brack for 28 for Akshay. And now it looks like Dave will get the first bingo down. He's got Oriist and Otaries. Words like that. And of course, Otaries takes the front V for votaries. So that's a nice 74-point bingo option he's got there. Dave, one of the best players in the world at finding bingos. Extremely good word knowledge and extremely good word finding ability as well. I know the word roasty. Calm down. Votaries is the choice from Dave, and it's back to Akshay. Yeah, roasty and Brax would have been an interesting option. It scores a little bit more. It looks like, what's that, 62, 70? It looks like 80 points instead of 74, but it just hangs that R in the wide open triple lane. So yeah, I'd say that 6 points is kind of on the borderline of how many points you want to sacrifice to have more a defensive position. But oh wow, yeah, it would have been hungered through the R. That's a great point. If he played the R out in open space, it would have been hungered for a whole lot. We've been in the chat suggesting Yugen, or however you pronounce that word. Yeah, just hug seems pretty reasonable. I'm assuming you mean hug here, unless I'm missing a better spot, but I probably am, let's be honest. That's 25. This is pretty similar. 26. Got a spot here for hug, 23. Lots of ways to play hug. I don't see anything too much better than that. Hey, we got our bots. Thank you, Benji. Yeah, so a lot of options here for Akshay. And these are some of the more challenging turns in Scrabble a lot of the time. When you have, no clear great play like a bingo, no clear bad play like an exchange. You got to find the intermediate play that's best, and it's just not always easy to choose. But huge is the choice from Akshay. Nice score of 28. Under the circumstances, you're not going to do too much better than that, I would say. And it's back to Dave, who's got a pretty nice rack for just scoring well. Especially considering this H hook on the C here. Like, just hint for 34 is, somewhat reasonable. There's probably a better play like that that's pretty similar. But yeah, plenty of options here. You can also play Y if you want to get aggressive and open hooks up top here. You probably don't, though. You're already ahead a little bit, so no reason to open the board. Lots of options here for Dave. Yeah, so as far as the ISC handles, I will try my best to call them out as I'm calling these games. In some cases, they're obvious. Akshay B is Akshay B. And Dr. Bing is Dave Wiegand, which is his well-known nickname. He is the doctor of the bingos. Seeing a suggestion of Swith. Why am I blanking on where Swith would come down? Oh, I see Swith. Okay. Making GIs like this. That's 38 points. Looks pretty nice. And H is a little bit less scary than an R as far as, getting tripled on. You can survive some sort of, 36-point play or something through the H. 38's pretty nice. The interesting thing about Y is that it's pretty hard to bingo. Like, there's only 6 squares between... Oh, just kidding. He's going to play SWY, SWY for 38, keeping a leave of hint, HINT. Yes, that does a good job of not really opening up any big hotspots for Akshay to come back on him with. Akshay, meanwhile, has drawn the Q and the X at the same time. That is a little bit unwieldy in this situation. There's not a lot of great spots for either one of them that I can see. What do we see for the Q and or the X? Well, I shouldn't say and or. It's really just or. So Sync comes down. Easy way to dump that Q for Akshay. 30 points. Keep the X for later. And it's back to Dave, who is, I'm sure, wishing he had that L for Monolith in open space, but it is not going to fit. This is an interesting rack. Definitely one that you can score okay with on most boards. You could do something like Hum or Homo for 28 or 29, keeping a reasonable leave. There's probably other options like that are, good intermediate scoring choices here. I guess, no, nothing plays here. You don't have the A. Huh, yeah. Not quite as many ways to score well as I had first thought. I think I might play something like Hum pretty quickly. Seems like there's not a lot of other options, but I could easily be missing something. So yeah, he does choose Hum, and now it's back to Akshay's got to decide how to use that X on his rack. Looks like there's a pretty easy way to do it. You can just play Flex here, 36 points, keep a pretty strong leave. And I know Akshay has been playing fairly deliberately in this tournament. He tends to use a lot of his time, but if I were him in this position, I would play Flex pretty quickly. Just conserve your time for the more difficult moves down the road. If we're heading for a close pre-endgame or endgame situation, as we very well could be, you don't want to kill too much clock. Oh, he chooses FedEx. That's better than Flex. Okay, I missed that. FedEx and Home for 49, keeping RT. Very nice. But it looks like Dave, who already got down the first bingo of the game, is going to get the second one too. He's got a very strong rack, and he's going to hit Akshay with something. Yeah, it's mentioned in the chat that today is Independence Day in India, so happy holidays to everybody in India watching this one. It's interesting that this is a matchup in the finals of two teams that were both once colonized by England, and they have outlasted England in this tournament, so they got the last laugh. U.S. having their Independence Day last month on July 4th, and India's is today. That's really cool. So Sodding is the play from Wiegand, and that's going to put him ahead by almost 100 points. What's that, 86, I believe? 273 to 187. I don't mind sticking with this game for a little while longer, but if it gets out of hand and Dave takes a really big lead, we can always skip along and watch another game. Looks like all 5 games are still in progress, so your score is still 0-0. Again, the first team to win 13 games in this match wins the World Championship, so a lot is on the line. And right now, it is anyone's match, still 0-0. So for Akshay, he's not hopelessly out of this thing. It's a bingo plus a little bit more is the lead for Dave. If you can continue to score well and stay within striking distance, you could be okay. Seeing a suggestion in the chat of Ump and XU. Yep, that's pretty reasonable. Scores 23, keeps, I guess, as good a leave as you can hope for. I was looking at plays through this eye, like Pyam. First of all, they score pretty well. 33 is nice, and you also don't want to leave that spot open for your opponent. In a situation like this, when you're down by a bingo, it's very easy to just continue to get outrun. Like if you let your opponent keep scoring 30 to 35 each turn, they're just going to keep piling on the points, and it's going to be hard to come back. So killing off those scoring spots where your opponent can get the easy 30 or 35 is usually pretty important. So Pyam is the choice, and I think I like that. So I'm getting an update in the chat that Sherwin, Jesse, and Austin have leads. So that is what, let's see, a lead for India and 3 leads for the U.S., counting the lead that Dave has over Akshay, although it's, not too out of hand right now. Akshay's still within striking distance. So let's see here. 53-point lead now for Dave. He does have a pretty good scoring tile in the J. I'm seeing a mention in the chat of Jag and JEE. Yeah, that is a little bit too offensive, I think. The obvious Jago hook is going to give your opponent a chance for a big, big bingo. At this point, Dave just needs to not get bingoed on for a whole lot. Oh, it looks like Akshay's got one. He's got Moralist, which I imagine will come down pretty quickly, and that's going to be 83. And just like that, Akshay takes the lead. But I think Dave's going to come right back with a bingo of his own. I'm seeing Nutgrass. That would be 72. And that does come down quickly. Wow, so both players exchanging big punches here. So it's back to a 1 bingo lead now for Dave, but Akshay has the second blank. That'll make things a little interesting. 9 tiles in the bag. We are approaching the end game. And you definitely want to kind of think about the tempo of how you want to seal this one. It's possible that a bingo out once the bag is empty is the easiest way to do it. Akshay, despite having the blank on his rack right now, is not very close to a bingo yet. It might take him a couple of turns to groom the rack and get to a bingo prone set of 7 tiles. Interesting pool of unseen tiles. It's a lot of vowels. It looks like, I want to say 7 consonants and 9 vowels in the unseen 16 tiles. So you can keep, well, let's see. If you play something like oof, you're going to keep ORR, and you're probably going to draw some vowels to balance out the 2 R's. So like a play like oof or foo is reasonable, although I'm not sure where it's going to go on this board. Benji's saying oof, not suggesting the play, just saying Akshay's in trouble. I like that. Now, Akshay's in a little bit of trouble here. I don't see where to play oof or foo that's really that useful to him. Doesn't seem like there's a great option available here. Seeing a suggestion in the chat of rook. That is interesting. So you can play rook here and just open the triple lane and pray that it works. And it's not bad. I mean, it gives you 2 different lanes to bingo. And, you don't care if you get bingoed on. Like, really, at this point, you're just swinging for the fences trying to win this game. Spread does not matter unless there's the very unlikely event of a 12.5 tie, in which case it would be spread determining your champion. But in all likelihood, you're playing for the win no matter what. You don't care whether you lose by 100 or 200 or what have you. And rook creates 2 places to bingo. It makes it very hard for Dave to shut them both down. It's going to be a situation where you can bingo if you draw the right tiles. I mean, you'll have 2 very good spots open. Kind of 3 if you count this line 12 with a bingo ending in L. So Akshay chooses fork, which is a similar idea, but it keeps OOR instead of FOR. And Dave has another one of these awkward racks with a lot of 1-point tiles. Not great for him. I'm seeing in the chat that there's only 4 boards playing currently. I believe that Udayan briefly lost his connection and signed back on. I think they have all 5 games going now. It's a good point by Benji in the chat that you got to worry about bingos and now the Z. There's going to be a lot of plays through that O and fork with the Z that score a whole lot of points. So Dave plays India for 27, which is ironically the country he's playing against. And it looks like Akshay's drawn pretty badly. 400 to 318. He's down by 82 with one in the bag, and this is looking pretty grim for him. Yeah, and a lot of GGs in the chat. I think I'm prone to agree here. We can take a look at this Will versus India, or sorry, Will versus Aditya. I hear that they're in the end game. Okay. Oh, you are correct. This is an exciting one. Okay, so it is Aditya's turn, down by 1 point with 3 tiles in the bag. Very interesting indeed. What do we like here for Aditya? With 3 in the bag, you usually like to play 2 and leave 1 in there. Although, what would one do with 2 tiles here? Oh my god, Josh in the chat says play Rue for 3. Okay, you know, you do have the B for Brew and you have the blank. That is very interesting. ROO takes 2 front hooks, a B and a P, so you could also make your blank a P, although that's less likely. And yeah, and you'd have plays like, you know, Be Dim would be a whole bunch of points next turn, and it's very, very, very hard to block. I don't hate that. It's crazy, but it's kind of crazy like a fox. It does give back Jar, says James. That's a good point. So you could play Jar to block any plays with Rue. Although, I mean, Be Dim is still going to play in that situation. So after you get down Rue, which is 3, and you play Be Dim, how many points is that? I can't count very quickly. Is it? It's probably around 39, 42. It's a pretty good score. But yeah, you'd have to worry about Will having a pretty good score of his own now with the J and some other interesting stuff unseen. Oh, so Room is a similar idea, but leaves 1 in the bag, and it also makes your play of oh, you could play Brief. Okay, that would score even more. That's really interesting. So there's lots of creative ways to set something up for yourself. This is really, really interesting. Room takes hooks of B, G, and V for Vroom. So the problem with Room is that Will could have the V for Vroom. Yeah, it's an interesting question of whether GTA even needs to make a crazy play like this. He could just make a normal play that, you know, scores well and goes to win the conventional way. Yeah, this board is indeed pretty crazy. I'm seeing that it looks like the opening play of the game was Tingly and then somebody turned it into Dauntingly. Yeah, so Will played Tingly for 28 to open. Aditya played Diablerie for 102 right away, and then his next turn was DAUN, Dauntingly for 16. It's just really, really creative on his part. Aditya with 4 bingos, Will with 3, but he's scored well with the X and the Z to keep this one close. So Aditya just plays Broom straight up, and that empties the bag right on the number, so it's going to be 7 tiles on 7. And usually in these situations, you know, the player going first in the endgame can usually win, but I don't know. What is the play going to be for Will? Benji seeing vocalers, that's clever. So there are some games that are wrapping up. It looks like we have word that Conrad has lost to Sherwin. Okay. Looks like there is a final between Dave and Akshay, and let's just confirm that that is indeed a win for Dave over Akshay. And it looks like there's another game that's... Nope, just those 2 wrapping up so far. So, as of this moment, Your score is no longer 0-0, it is 1-1. Let's go ahead and go to the scoreboard and change that for you. India 1, US 1, and a very close game here to see who goes up 2-1 here between Will Anderson on your left, Wanderer 15, and Adi 2000, Aditya Iyengar for India on your right. Will is on turn, down by 26, but he's going first in the endgame, both players with 7 tiles. Pretty strong endgame racks for both players in the sense that both can score well. Benji pointing out phone, Foehn, for Aditya at 880. I'm not sure what you're saying by that. What? Oh, phone. Okay, yeah. In any event, it is Will's turn with just over 3 minutes to go, 3:25 and counting. And it's tough. You'd love to have a way to go out in 2 and score well. It's just not the easiest thing to do here. Yeah, so the spot Benji was talking about here was phone. That would score a whole lot. And it would keep JI. And you have, ways to score with the J, like JAI and JIN and jib up here. Oh, JIN here, that's 26. Yeah, so phone would be very nice. Well, you're not going to go out. Will's going to go out in 2, so it might be just phone and no other scoring place. 52. Well, somebody says 52, somebody says 44. Let's actually count it. Okay. You get the blank N, so it's 10, 30, 36. I want to say that it is 44? I don't know. It's lots. Yeah, that's a good point. So if Aditya plays phone next turn, he will finish at 481. And so the question is, can Will get 70 points from his 2 plays plus the JI off Aditya's rack? And that seems like a little bit much. I don't think he can do it. So that leaves you with the question of, okay, then how do you block phone? Do you make a play like... Oh, he's just going to play vocal. Okay. So now let's see if Aditya has found phone. Again, phone would put him at 481. Will would be down by 40 points. Which means he would need, what, 22 to tie, 23 to win with ESW? And I'm not sure if he can get that many. Seeing a suggestion in the chat of whens and same. Man, I gotta work on my board vision. Oh, whens and phones. Okay, that makes more sense. Actually, that does look like a pretty good score. So wins would be, yeah, that would be enough. I think actually Will does win this one, doesn't he? If phone comes down, then I think Will can score just enough. Yeah, phone does take an S. Thanks to Benji's chatbot, we know that it is a warm, dry wind. Yeah, it's a very good point that, yeah, board vision wise, this is one of the harder boards you're going to see. There's just so many spots to do so many things on this board. It is nice and wide open for all sorts of plays. Looks like Austin Shin and Nakul Prabhu have finished their game, and the result was a win for Austin. So that's going to make it 2-1 in favor of the U.S. Let's go ahead and update that one for you. So it's 2-1 U.S., and if Will can figure out this endgame, it could be 3-1. We'll see. on Jesse Day and Dion Grover, I believe, because those are the last two players we haven't checked on. And I believe Jesse started last and also plays the slowest of these U.S. players, so he might be the last one to finish up. We'll see. Looks like we've already got some games getting started in round 2. As, yeah, Sherwin and Dave are already playing their round 2 game. We can always check on them, but first let's see what happens in this endgame here between Will and Aditya. Again, I think Will has this one won if he doesn't make any missteps here. I'm pretty sure that, the best play for Aditya is going to be phone here along the bottom, which we can now confirm is 44 points. It would put him at 481. And then Wenz would be what, 14, 15, 25. I believe that Aditya's best play loses by 3. But we'll see. Aditya's got a minute left on his clock. He's going to find whatever he can to steal this one. He's, I'm sure, looking for ways that he can either score more or not give Will as big a counterplay or something, but it's going to be hard to do better than that 44-point play along the bottom row with all those overlaps. Clock running pretty low. Aditya not phoning it in. Yeah, so phone does come down. That makes it a 40-point lead for Aditya, but he's got 18 points on his rack with the I and the J. 22 to tie, 23 to win is all Will needs. And Wenz is 25. That should do it. Will's got over a minute on his clock to find the play. Will with very strong word knowledge. He's played a lot of boggle type games, and he's learned those 4 and 5 letter words very, very well. So he's usually pretty reliable to find stuff like this. But he's just taking his time, checking everything carefully, and making sure he plays this correctly, and can't blame him one bit for that. Again, Will's best play should win the game by 3 points. I'm seeing that So also wins by 1, SEW. Where is So? I'll just trust you on that. Yeah, Will definitely taking his time. 26 seconds left. He does play Wenz, and he is going to win by 3. So your final is Will 484, Aditya 476 after the challenge. And so it's going to be an 8-point win after the challenge. A nice victory for Will Anderson. He came back from an early diablerie for 102 and ends up winning a very close endgame. So a nice game for Will. And it looks like the final game we're still waiting on in round 1 is between Dion Grover and Jesse Day. And they've got a very interesting board with basically the entire left side of the board unused, which is crazy. Let me quickly update the scoreboard. It is not 2-1 US, it is 3-1 US. But India definitely has a chance here to make this score close of 3-2. Dion leads by 18 points on a very difficult board. I don't know what's on Jesse's rack, so I don't know if he's got a way to even threaten a bingo. But there are lanes he's got to worry about, and, line L here. Oh, okay, so I don't believe there is a bingo here. AEILNRU for Jesse. And yeah, he needs like an A for Aurelian or something like that. There's no 7-letter word. Jesse down by 32. I wonder if there's a way that he can fish for something. What you'd love to do in this situation is set yourself up a way to bingo in 2 spots. But with 1 tile in the bag, that is very hard to do. Like if you play the E, is there any letter you can draw? Actually, yeah, you can play the E, try to draw a diurnal, because it would play in line 3 and play in line L. So actually, I think we might give you a chance. I don't think it's possible to block both those spots. Huh. Jesse chooses Riff. He was running out of time. He had 3 seconds on his clock. Yeah, I think we would have been interesting. Yeah, 3 seconds left. Jesse just plays whatever he can find, and he's not going to draw the bingo he needs with Ailnuy. So Dion now in a situation where pretty much any reasonable out in 2 should do it. We can definitely keep an eye on this game, but I want to go and check on the matchup as it stands right now. So we had in round 1 games between Akshay and Dave. That was a win for Akshay. Let me just... Sorry, that was a win not for Akshay. That was a win for Dave, excuse me. Which means... Put that American flag up there. We had Sherwin versus Conrad, and that was a win for Sherwin and Team India. We had Udayan versus Jesse, which is still in progress, but Udayan has a very clear advantage in the endgame. We had Nakul versus Austin, which was a win for Austin for the US. And we had Aditya versus Will, which we just saw was a very, very close, interesting endgame, and Will Anderson got the win in that one for Team USA. So as things stand currently, it's 3-1. It is likely that it'll be 3-2, but for Udayan, it's just a situation where you want to take your time and play carefully. Still got over a minute on his clock. Plenty of time to, calculate your end game and make sure you have this right. I shouldn't say plenty of time, but some time. To Jesse, it's an eternity. But yeah, I think, if you can just make a reasonable out in 2, you should be okay here. Don't play any phony 2s. You could play Glad, keeping DAE. That looks kind of nice. But yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just don't play a phony. Don't give your opponent a giant counterplay to whatever you do. And you should be comfortably winning here. You're up by 26 already, plus whatever you're going to score now. Adaj is the choice. And Jesse goes over on his clock. And yeah, this looks like it's going to be a win for Udayan. Let's go ahead and mark it up. So your score was United States 3-1. It's going to be United States 3-2. If we can go ahead and assume that Udayan has this game won, I will go ahead and update the scoreboard now with that. We can always go back and change it later in the likely event that Jesse comes back. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So your score after one round of this Virtual World Cup final is the United States 3, India 2. Whole lot of Scrabble still to go. Anybody can still win, and anybody will. Jesse's going to play Ulyi for 24. Let me just hop back to the board for a second. Ulyi, Ulyi comes down, and Udayan goes out with Dal. So that'll do it. 3-2. And we move on to the second round. And let's take a look now and see who is playing. It looks like there are a few matches underway. Let's take a look at Dave Wiegand and Sherwin Rodriguez. So Dave and Sherwin, on your left is Dr. Bing, Dave Wiegand for the US of A. And on the right is Boaz. I don't know how to pronounce it. Boaz. That is Sherwin Rodriguez for the Indian team. Sherwin up by 27 points, but he's got an awkward rack now. FHIPUUW. Who doesn't love UUW, right? Benji, you can always announce your tournament. I don't mind. Go ahead. There's not really going to be very many breaks in the action, honestly. There's going to be just games constantly happening. There'll be a lot of overlap between rounds 1 and 2, rounds 2 and 3, and so on. So it's going to be pretty much nonstop Scrabble, but you can always sneak in a quick plug for your event. Happy to let you do that, and we'll just keep on trucking here, watching Scrabble in the meantime. Looks like a nice play by Sherwin of Pafui to get rid of one of the 2 U's, but he still has, what, UWH, I believe? Something like that. As for Dr. Bing, Dave has ADEEJFN. It would be great to play the J for some points, and it looks like there is a way to do that. You can play Ja for 42, seems pretty standard. If Dave were to play that, it would put him pretty close to coming back here. He'd be down by, what, 25 points with an interesting leave of DEFN. Possible ways to score, possible ways to bingo. Lots of flexibility in that leave. Ooh, a great point in the chat that there is a lot of ways to hook the word Ollie. CMRT, calling Molly, Raleigh, and Tolly. Unfortunately, no folly, so you can't play Hefe there with your J. Another interesting point in the chat that pre-edits was played instead of priested. It looks like that was, yeah, move 4 for sure when he chose pre-edits for 64, sorry. It looks like priested would have been, what, 72-ish? So yeah, an interesting choice. It is better defensively, obviously. And your opponent just played 4 tiles previously with EO, and so, I mean, he's not too close to bingoing. Yeah, definitely a strange choice, giving up, what is that, 8 points for defense. But that's pretty borderline, I'd say. Yeah, I think it was a fairly close game at the time. I think at the time that he played pre-edits, the score was 124 to, I can't do that math, but it was pretty close. So Dave here using a lot of time off his clock, even though I feel like Ja is pretty straightforward. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. Maybe he's trying to consider whether he should block this Ollie spot. Like, he can play Ja here for, what, 11 points less? 31 instead of 42? But it blocks the spot. Maybe he's considering that. But that's a lot of points to give up. I don't think I would do that. And knowing Dave, I don't think he would either. He's usually pretty confident in his ability to play an offensive game. Although he can shift gears a little bit at times. Oh, he chooses the other Ja. I didn't see that one. Ja for 43 at 9i. All right, so now it's back to Sherwin. I immediately see Wah for 39 points. Hard to score more than 39, I would think. And he does choose Wah pretty quickly for 39. And now Dave has drawn the Z, so more point scoring for Mr. Wiegand here. Now if he wants to block the spot for Ollie hooks, he can do so. Oh no, he's going to choose Fez for 57 because it's 57. That's usually what you do when you score 57. You do it. All right, so now it's a pretty close game. Dave puts himself right back in it, down by 6 points. 267 to 261. And who got the M for Molly? I thought, did Dave have the M? I thought he had, I can't remember. So what to do here if you're Sherwin? You're suddenly in a fairly close game, ahead by only 6 points. There's not a lot of scoring potential on this rack. Could play Gwyd for 18. That's pretty weak. Is Buid, B-U-I-D, a word? I don't know anything anymore. No, it's Booty. So you could just, for point scoring, play Booties 28. That seems a little bit reckless. You're going to get hammered in that spot every time. But yeah, you really do need to keep scoring in this situation. You are in a very close game, and you don't want to just get outrun at this point. I believe we saw in build in a recent match in this tournament, and it was not valid. And I'm sure that Dave. Oh, okay, it's mentioned in the chat already. Yeah, Dave knows not to play in build. Yes, Webin knows that 100% of the time Dave Wiegand sees the word in build played against him, he does not challenge. So Based on that logic, can't argue with it. All right, so after build, it is a 22-point deficit for Dave. Still a lot of tiles left to go. Seeing a suggestion in the chat of Genome. Looks pretty solid. Good. Let's see. Yeah, that'd be 32. Keeping a C and a D as your lead. Not bad. Is there anything else worth considering? It looks like Genome is the best way to play through these awkward tiles. I don't think there's going to be a lead with better synergy than CD. Realistically, with what you're going to play. I mean, I guess you could consider a shorter play like Cog, keeping Mend, but it's a lot fewer points. 22 is just, yeah, it's not worth it. So yeah, I do like Genome. Looks pretty solid to me. Oh, Cogged. Cogged is a word. Good job. Did not see. Cogged for 41, making a nice hook of Came. And like I said, there are, or like I didn't say, there are leads with better synergy. MN is better than CD for sure. Cogged is not the easiest word to be sure of. Not a lot of players study bingos like cogging very often, and it's not the kind of word that's obviously a verb. Actually, is it even a verb? Is cogging good? It is, okay. So Cogs does come down. Nice play by Dr. Bing. 41 points and the lead. And Stinters comes down quickly from Sherwin, retaking the lead, but Dave has immediately drawn a bingo of his own. He's got Smartens or Sarments for 74 points. He'll probably choose Smartens to avoid putting a vowel next to the double here. Yeah, so Smartens would put him ahead by a little bit. I think 19 points. Yeah, it'd be 376, 357. For Dave, you probably want to play this pretty quickly. We're heading for a close end game, and you are going to be low on time. I don't think there's anything else besides Smartens you really need to consider, but... Oh, Sarment and Tolly, right. We've been talking all game about those Ollie hooks, and now finally Dave has one. And he actually has a good reason to play it. He's got a bingo in that spot. Oh, but he doesn't play it. He plays Smartens. And... oh, okay. Now the pressure's on Sherwin to find the hook on Ollie. He has Wolver blank. He has Wolvers and Raleigh. And, oh boy. If he knows those words, Wolvers and Raleigh, that's going to be death for Dr. Bing. No comeback from that. On the other hand, if he knew it, wouldn't he have played it quickly? Every second that he doesn't play it, you have to get a little bit more worried for India here. Yeah, again, Wolvers is clearly the play if you know both words in the play. 94 points. Oh, nope, just kidding. That's not where it goes. It's more than 94. It's 104. The V is doubled. If you see that play, you slap it down right away. There is nothing to think about. And the fact that Sherwin is thinking is cause for concern. Wow, so this rack would not have bingoed if David just played Sarment and Tolly. That's crazy. Oh, is it rolly? Like a roll you... a cigarette you roll. Okay. Learning new things every day. I did not know that's what a rolly was. So Wolver blank. The only 7-letter word is Wolvers. And all of the 8-letter words are over words. Like overblow and walkover. And just, yeah, none of them would have played. Jeremy is correct. You can't believe the Ollie spot stayed open for so many turns. Well, guess what? It's going to stay open. I really doubt that Sherwin... or maybe Sherwin sees the play and is unsure of it and is deciding how much he needs to try it here. Which is an interesting question. I mean, you have the blank on your rack. You could just hold off and try to bingo later. But yeah, I'm really wondering right now for both players, like which hooks on Ali, if any, they're seeing, which ones they're sure of being valid and which ones they're not, because they've both had some hard decisions to make involving that spot in this game. Yeah, he probably doesn't think that ROLLY is good. You could think that rollies are like a sticky S thing. Um, I don't know. Sherwin is down by 19 points. He's probably right now asking himself, how much do I need to try this? If he's not sure of it. I also feel like Wolvers is not the most obvious word in the world either, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, so now I think over 2 minutes now that Sherwin's taken on his clock. He is. I don't know what he's thinking right now. Maybe he's not seeing the spot, or maybe he's seeing it and he's just unsure of the validity of one word or the other. Okay, getting word in the chat that Akshay leads Will. Okay. So that's going to put India in position to make this match very close. Down 3-2, could make it 3-3. But of course, the big question right now is can Sherwin find this play of Wolvers and Rolly? Clock still ticking away here. Definitely an awkward pool of unseen tiles. You got the Q, the K, the V, all sorts of fun stuff. If Sherwin doesn't bingo now, it might get tough. It's really hard to say. So he does not play. He plays Vower. And now there's 4 tiles in the bag. And Dave is down by 19 points. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Seeing some pain reactions in the chat for sure. Yeah, Sherwin doesn't come up with Wolvers, and now it's back to Dave with a chance to win this one here. It's gonna be a close game now. I'm not seeing a great way for Dave to use the spot underneath the Vower. Yeah, I'm really not sure where Dave can play for a good score, other than, of course, Rolly. It would be funny if Dave were to play Rolly now, because of course Sherwin would surely realize at that point that he messed up. Do we like Cork or Koru? So Cork is 45 keeping ATU, and Koru is 45 keeping ACT. Oh yeah, Koru's better. Oh, and Dave does play it. I wonder if Sherwin's going to challenge. Huh. Looks like no challenge, but he's got a pretty good rack here. Does it play on this board? Is there anything ending in O for Ob? I don't believe so. AEILOV blank. Makes only 3 7-letter words. And they do not end in an O, so I don't believe that Sherwin has the bingo now. But if he opens up a second spot, things could get interesting. Yeah, it's hard to find any word. Oh, the bag is empty? Oh, geez. I'm sorry. Okay. I knew that. The bag is empty. Yeah, you've got to imagine that Sherwin does now realize what he missed. I mean, now that he's seen the R hook on the board, it may be hitting him what he had on his previous turn. Do we think Sherwin still wins? I'm not so sure. If he plays something like Volva for 33, and then you have, dime here. Although, I think Dime's going to get blocked, right? Because, QI. Huh. I'm not sure. Yeah, QI for 30 in 2 spots, which is correct. You also have this spot up here. Um, but it's tricky because so if you are Sherwin, you probably don't want to play, something like Volva in this spot first because QI here can block your best outplay. I think Dave might have enough points here to pull this one out. Oh yeah, there's also Trank. That's a good point. Trank plays through the orange Martins here. That's going to score 30. What is that? 36. So it looks like there's enough points on Dave's rack to pull this one out. Ooh, a nice suggestion of Viola. So that's 30. That would put Sherwin ahead by 4. And QI. That would be close. Not sure where the E and the blank are going to go. Yeah, I think maybe Dave would still win. So Vomit from Sherwin blocks one of the spots for QI, but it leaves Trank and the other QI spot, and Dave should score enough here to win this one, I think. Yeah, Sherwin was getting pretty low on time, 36 seconds, and he plays something reasonable, but it looks like it's going to be not reasonable enough. So for Dave, I mean, yeah, I'm seeing some suggestions that he should make sure he finds Trank, but I mean, honestly, I think QI wins too, right? Like, QI would put him ahead by 28. Actually, that might not be enough. 14 on your rack. Yeah. Trank is better for sure. Looks like all 5 games are still in progress, so your score is still 3-2. Trank does come down, and Dave is going to be up by 32. 457, 425. And Sherwin plays late, which is going to be too little too late. A 6-point win for Dave Wiegand over Sherwin Rodriguez. A nice victory for Dave. Painful one for Sherwin for Team India. Definitely Sherwin had his chances there to win that one. So your score was USA 3-2. It now becomes USA 4-2. Let's move along. We haven't checked on Conrad Bessabishard yet. Let's see who he's playing. He's playing with Diane Grover, and we got a close game. Let's watch this one. 239, 217. Diane on turn and up by 22, holding all 7 consonants in a pretty difficult board as well. Pretty closed up. Nice play of Ahing to get rid of 3 of those 7 consonants. Wow, seeing some trash talk in the chat that Conrad is the weakest link. I mean, being the weakest link on a team like this is really like, an honor even to be on a team like this, but I'm also not so sure that he's the weakest link. So, too many consonants for Udayan and too many vowels for Conrad. Aeelou. Looks not great for Mr. BB. Is there a way to play something off? I think maybe Jewel is reasonable. 19 points. What do we think? You could also just play like Ia for 16. That seems pretty bad. Definitely just looking for a way to dump the most vowels you can and score at least a little bit. So the score is, I believe, correct as it's on the screen right now, 4-2. All the other games still in progress. Oh no, Aditya has won against Austin. Okay. So that's going to be another win for India. Let's go ahead and update that for you. Your score is 4-3 US. Oh, and it is getting cut off for some reason. My apologies for that. Let's get that fixed. Why in the world is that happening? Bear with me. It's supposed to say 4-3 and it's not for some reason. I will try and get that fixed. That is most unusual. The 3 is just not showing up. Okay, now it is. That was very strange. Sorry about that. All right, so the score is US 4, India 3. And still this difficult route for Conrad. All these vowels, not much you can do with it. As far as I know, Jewel is the best play. But, I don't know. Yeah, so sorry about that. On your left is Grovering New, that is Udayan Grover for India, and on your right is Dakron, that is Conrad Basabishard for the US. If I ever forget to update you on who's who, just bug me and I'll let you know. Just to clarify, I've got some questions about this in past matches. The names on your screen are not in order by who's playing who in this round. They're just in order by seed. So Akshay is the top seed for India and Conrad the top seed for the US. The final round of the tournament will be 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, and so on. So we'll see Akshay versus Conrad in the final round. But right now this is round 2. And Akshay is playing the bottom seeds in order. So Akshay plays Dave, Will, Austin, Jesse, and Conrad in that order. And the other Indian players do a kind of rotating version of that same schedule. Anyway, We is the choice, W-E-E from Conrad. So far in round 2, we've got a win for Aditya over Austin, and a win for Dave over Sherwin. And I believe the other 3, no, I'm wrong. The other 3 are not in progress. Will Anderson and Akshay Bhavnakar have played, and Akshay got the win there. Okay. Another win for India, moving the score from 4-3 to a dead heat of 4-4. Very interesting. And so the 2 games still being played in this round are Udayan versus Conrad on your screen right now. And the other one is Jesse Day versus Nakul Prabhu. I just kind of said Jesse Day, just kind of guessing, and I was correct. It just kind of felt like it'd be Jesse still playing. Getting word that Jesse is very far ahead. Okay, so if Jesse wins and Udayan wins, we could be 5-5. Still a long way to go in this one, though. There's definitely some ways that Conrad can steal this one if he can start drawing some gosh darn consonants. 302 to 248. It is a 54-point deficit right now for Conrad. You are certainly within a bingo here. So that score on your screen right now, 4-4, is accurate. We are waiting on Udayan versus Conrad and Nakul versus Jesse. Oh yeah, very true. That we are 1-0 away from Halyarov. Very cool 8-letter word. Oh, is it a silent V? How do you pronounce that? I don't even know. As we've well established in this tournament, I can't pronounce anything. Anyway, barring that, it's Halyaro? Wow, would not have guessed that. Okay. Slovakian monetary unit. Learning new things. So Virulai is the play, and Conrad's drawn the Q and the blank. That's all sorts of fun. Those are not two tiles that get along super well, but maybe there's a way that Conrad can play through this. Um, you could do something like Talak here. That's not the greatest, but you do have the blank, and you can hope for a hook on Viralize, maybe. I don't know. If you're Conrad, you want to keep bingoing options as open as possible, and that is not easy to do. Okay, so Talak there is nice. It scores well, 38, and it gives you a chance to bingo on the line 15 with Talaks, but unfortunately for Conrad, Udayan has both S's, and really just any play in that spot. I mean, Chog's 52 is going to make it really hard for Conrad to come back. Chog's empties the bag, but I think that doesn't even matter. You'll be ahead by so much. I just got a chat from Conrad who said, "You need your live cam for my reaction after my draw to Talak. Comedy gold." I am guessing that means Conrad drew badly. But we will find out, won't we? Definitely some ways this draw can backfire for Conrad. He played Talak keeping E blank, and he was drawing into a pool of A-A-E-E-E-I-I-L-T. Sorry, no L. He already had the L. No, he didn't have the L. Okay, so there's two constants you can draw, the L and the T. So we're still waiting on Udayan and Conrad and Jesse and Nakul. And it looks like some games have already begun in round 3 as Will, Austin, Akshay, and Sherwin have already begun their next games. Jesse's up by 200 and has a bingo to finish as well. Okay. So it's looking like we're going to be 5-5. Udayan, though, taking his time. He's probably a little bit concerned about, what if a worst case scenario hits and, Conrad has some kind of bingo from the Z. But nope, he's drawn all vowels as it appeared that he would. I think Conrad knows he's being observed because you can type all Dacron and it'll tell you who all the people are who are watching Dacron, right? So Conrad can check on who's watching him. I just typed all Dacron and there's like 30 or 40 people watching, so I guess he went there and checked whether I was watching. Viewers appear to include Aditya and oh, there's Peter Armstrong watching as well. Yeah, I think if you're paranoid observers, it's going to be a hard tournament to play in because there's been quite a bit of attention on these matches, especially late in the tournament. Getting a couple hundred viewers on Twitch pretty regularly for these semifinals and finals games. So, for those of you who don't perform well under pressure, I apologize. There's really no way around it. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this. So for Conrad here, I'm not sure how much there is to think about. There's just a whole lot of vowels. Wow, Josh in the chat spamming us with chess content. Normally I'm totally here for that, but right now we got a finals to broadcast. Come on, man. Who's Nakamura playing? In any event, Conrad taking his time, down by almost 100. Whole bunch of vowels. Oh, Nakamura's playing Magnus. Wow, I didn't know that at all. Okay. Definitely want to check that out later, but I guess for now I'll continue watching Scrabble. It'd be weird if I just like hop from Conrad versus Udayan to like Magnus and Nakamura. Maybe like a small percentage of viewers would enjoy it, but that's no excuse. Conrad really taking his time here. Do I have to worry about losing an audience here? I thought we had some loyal Scrabble fans. Maybe I was wrong about that. Yeah, Conrad really taking his time on this terrible rack with no options at all. Looks like Jesse's game has just gone final, and it is officially a win for Jesse over Nakul. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the matchup screen and give us some updates on the games. In round two, we had Akshay versus Will, and that was a win for Akshay. If I could just find the button for that. In round two, we had Sherwin versus Dave, and that was a win for Dave for the US. We had Udayan versus Conrad, which is still in progress, but it looks like Conrad is not going to have the goods in the end game, and it's going to be a win for Udayan. We have Nakul versus Jesse, which just went final, and it was a win for Jesse for the US. And finally, Aditya versus Austin was a win for Aditya. And so that means we're going to have a score of 5-5. If I could just click the right button there. Sorry about that. 5-5. We are technically still waiting for this one to go final, but it looks like it's pretty likely to do so. And the score will be the US 5 and India 5. So I wanted maximum drama going into the final rounds of this tournament, and it looks like we're going to have it. No team is going to run away with this one. Both teams are very much alive, and the next 3 rounds will determine your World Cup champion. Let's take a look at who's playing whom in round number 3. Your matchups in round 3 are going to be Akshay versus Austin, Sherwin versus Will, Udayan versus Dave, Nakul versus Conrad, and Aditya versus Jesse. You guys can let me know in the chat if there's anybody you would like to watch. I'm happy to go along with whatever the crowd wants. We haven't watched very much of Jesse yet, so we could watch Jesse versus Aditya. We've seen a pretty good amount of Akshay and Sherwin already. Aditya would be interesting to watch. Got to vote for Sherwin Will. Okay. Vote for Akshay Austin. Okay, we're getting a lot of Akshay Austin. Let's see who's playing so far. Akshay and Austin have already begun. Okay, let's take a look at that one by popular demand. So, as was mentioned in the chat, Akshay's first 2 plays of the game were 4 points and 5 points. He played us and then added the U and the E for U's. Okay. Very interesting. I would love to go back and see what these players' racks were and why they chose these plays. Very low scoring opening for both players. Sorry. Here's the screen. My bad. So Akshay with another small play, and it's back to Austin. Austin will have the first bingo, it looks like. Wow, Akshay exchanged 1. I think he had the cue. Yeah, so Akshay's first 3 turns were 4 points, 5 points, and an exchange of 1 tile. And his exchange 1 works very well. He's got Ascent blank, and he will most certainly bingo right back against Austin. Score right now is Austin 101, Akshay 9. But that's going to change in just a moment. So a lot of bingo options for sure. Ondatra takes an S, so you can do anything you want here. That's probably not a good play though. Is there a way to get the S in 5th position so you can double 2 letters? That would be the best way to do it. What do we see here in Ascent blank? How about Entasis? Entasis would put a consonant next to this double. It's pretty safe. It would double 2 of your 1-pointers, get you 74 points. That looks like as good an option as you can have here. Yeah, transes would also be a similar play. I think I like the N a little bit better than the R next to that double. Yeah, entasis or entases, right, the plural, that would also be effective. 74 points looks like the most you're going to get on this board, unless I'm missing something. Akshay taking his time, though. Very strange opening to this game. Us for 4, use for 5, and then exchange 1. So many shameless self-promotions in the chat. First Benji with this tournament, and now Wavin with the Discord channel. Well, that is awesome. I do love Anagram and Fry Your Brain, so that does sound fun. I'm not as much a Boggle fan, but that's just me. Let's see. Entasis does come down. Nice play by Akshay, and it's back to Austin with Einotty. A little bit of an awkward rack. No 7s or 8s in that rack of any kind. Is there a way to score decently with the Y? You know, I don't really love the idea of like something like Oi here. It just opens up a really easy spot for your opponent. There's probably a better way. I'm looking at this spot, like Deity, 30 points keeping NOT. Oh yeah, Dottie. Dottie's a word. That's much better. Ignore me. It's been a long tournament, and I've had a whole lot of board vision fails. As soon as this event is over, I can take a break from embarrassing myself on Twitch. I have forgotten how to find words. I've forgotten how to do a lot of things in Scrabble, but find words is definitely one of them. I see we have some identity theft going on in the chat now. Josh claiming to be Hikaru Nakamura. He is not. He's far worse at chess, I would assume. So Deity is the choice from Austin. Not sure if that's better than Dottie, but they're pretty similar plays. And now it's back to Akshay with a little bit of an awkward rack, a lot of consonants, but there's probably a way to play off some of them here. You definitely want to look at this spot. You know, there's plays like, you know, not Himp. I meant to play Gimp. That's a typo. There's plays like Gimp. 28 keeping head. Maybe do something with that. What else is worth considering? I'm looking in this spot, but I don't see anything very good. I think maybe Hamped is a word. Hamped? Does that sound right? Check. Hamped. Nope. That's why I'm not playing this event. I don't know anything. Let's see here. Yeah, no Hamped, no Gamped. There are no 6-letter words at all in this rack. No phaged. Okay. So a heap. That's a nice play. Scores pretty nicely. 36 for Akshay. And that's going to give him a much smaller deficit. He's down by 12 points. 131, 119. Austin on turn and up 12. And he's got nothing too great, I don't think. He can play Pave just to take out that triple and balance the rack a little bit. That would keep A and OT. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Yeah, I don't think it's worth the play. Ove 8. That's not enough points. Only 18. So I guess Pave, but I'm probably missing something. Um, he does play Pave. Okay. Whole lot of consonants for Akshay. F, G, M, M, D. Those are tough ones to work with. Ooh. Sounds like there's some fireworks between Aditya and Jesse. Frappage and Hebanons. Cool words. Wayman, you don't like a heap. Why not? You don't want to keep a leave of, what is it, GMD? So Ganef is the choice. I was just checking whether Femdom is good. It is not. All right, so Otarine is on the rack for Austin, and it plays here for 66. And that might be the only place it plays. And oh, notaire, also a word. I guess notaire is a little bit better. Doesn't give the easy hotspot underneath the O in Otarine. There is still an unseen X to worry about, I believe. So a whole lot of consonants still for Akshay, but they're interesting ones. You can score pretty well with them. You could do theme here, 36, keeping BDM. Also meme in the same spot, but that seems pretty clearly worse. More self-promotion from Benji. What else is new? Benji is a nice leave. Actually now down by quite a bit after the bingo. It's 224, 149. A 75-point disadvantage here. Theme would be enough to keep him a little bit, keep him within one more big play of getting back in it. BDM leave would be unlikely to bingo right away, but you'll have some interesting choices with that one. You got some synergy with those consonants. Looks like all 5 games are in progress for round 3. Your score right now is the USA 5, India 5. So theme is the choice from Akshay. Sounds like there were some fireworks between Jesse and Aditya. We will definitely check on that game after this one if it's still going on. But right now, looking to see if Akshay can come back here against Austin. Austin on turn leads by 39. He's got an interesting rack for scoring some points with. I see Yuk for 36. Seems pretty strong. I don't believe that work is valid, but oh, Keg, there we go. Keg for 37. So a good lead here for Austin. And for Akshay, he's just not drawing bingo prone stuff. He's got to keep scoring until he can get through it. Interesting point in the chat from Waybin about how the choice earlier to play a heap really had an impact on the future racks that Akshay had to work with. When you play a heap keeping, what was it, DGM, you're forcing yourself to battle some difficult asymmetry later on. Definitely some luck involved too, though. He played off 4 tiles and drew 4 more fairly clunky ones. That is not great luck for him either. Meanwhile, Austin's keeping leaves like, EIR, and he's got to battle through these consonants. BDHLMOP. There are no 5s, 6s, or 7s at all in that rack. There's some 4-letter words like bold and hope and stuff like that, but nothing longer. 261, 185. Actually down by quite a bit, and he's also getting pretty low on the clock. He plays mobile, which I'd forgotten was a word. And I see wire, or yeah, Auri. That's a strong choice for Austin. Austin playing pretty quickly, putting some pressure on Akshay time-wise. QU for Akshay, pretty nice synergy. He plays Quipo for 37. And Akshay with, Austin with these 1-point tiles that don't really do much for him. Yeah, not really sure what you can do there. It's a lucky break for Akshay. He needs to get a little break in Austin's scoring. He needs scoring to stop, which I hear it never does, to come back in this one. And I think he's going to get a little break here as Austin's forced to play for a much lower score than usual. So for Austin, you're up by what, 56 points. Interesting thing about where you want to block or how you can block on this board. I mean, the most obvious place for Akshay to get a bingo down is over here on the right, but what can you really do about that? There just isn't a great play. Yeah, I'm just not seeing what he's supposed to do. If like Leah were a word, I would play that just to kind of block things up. But yeah, there isn't really a great way to go across or down through or overlapping those letters in deity that can score and balance well. Yeah, you also got to be concerned about plays here at d8. That's a good point. Of course, if you are Austin, you have the L that goes there, but you just don't really have a good word to play in that spot. Like you could play liar. I don't think that's, yeah, 9 points. I don't think so. Just a tough spot. You'd love to use these 1-point tiles to defend and kind of block Akshay's threats, but it's just hard to know where those are. Yes, it would be very on brand for Austin to kind of fish for a crazy 9. um, yeah, hilarious. That's a cool spot. Hilarious into the OUS. As it is, though, not a lot of great options for Austin here. Maybe he should just try to bounce the rack and go for a bingo of his own. Although that's also not the easiest to do. Yeah, you're just not scoring much. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Leary for 6? I don't think so. There just isn't much here. 405 9-letter words ending in OUS. That's honestly, I'm surprised there aren't more than that. So people are talking about different places to play Leary in this position. Um, yeah, Leary here is fascinating. It blocks, Bingo's making anything above EA, and it blocks Bingo's through the I and the T. It only scores 5, but it blocks and balances well. All right, so 14 points for Lin is the choice from Austin. And oh boy, actually has the Z to go there. He plays Zit for 44, and now he's back in at scoring wise. He's only down by 26. Doesn't necessarily need to bingo anymore. Yeah, that's interesting. And it's still a situation where Austin's got these tiles that don't really score well. They don't really bingo. They don't really do anything for him. I mean, he's still up by a decent amount, 26 plus whatever he scores this turn. And it's a hard board to bingo on and a hard board to score on. You could just try to win ugly on a closed board. That might be the best way to do this. I'm sure he is still looking for 9-letter plays into the OUS. They would be non-bingos, just 6-tile plays, but nonetheless, I'm sure he's looking. I'm going to start looking too. I'm cheating and looking up the rack. It looks like he doesn't have much. Okay. Even if he draws the right tile that he's fishing for, he still doesn't have much. Okay. For Austin here. Yeah, Lin was an interesting choice. I definitely think that Waven's idea of Leary was probably better. Lin exposes him to that easy Z play, and now he's still kind of in a hard position. Craw, okay. So Craw is going to score 18. And now, okay, Akshay scores well with the H, making the score even closer. He's within 11 points now. Time running out for Austin. He's under a minute and a half to go. More difficult racks for Austin. An I and 6 consonants. And they're not great consonants either with the LN, ace energy, and the W. It's tough. Yeah, I think maybe Akshay's a favorite now. There's an unseen J, an unseen X. All sorts of weird stuff can happen in this endgame for sure. So Twine, the choice for Austin. Not very many points at all. 12 points. And 5 tiles are in the bag. Look at that pool. 2 vowels, an E and an I, and 10 consonants, and they're weird consonants, including the X and the J. This could be a very hard endgame, and Austin has 56 seconds for it. That is always tough. If you're probably afraid to play off too many tiles here. You don't really want to draw this stuff. And there's this X hotspot you got to worry about at C9. Either player could have XI. We happen to know that Austin kept 3 consonants. We don't know if he drew either of those vowels, the E or the I. The I is going to be a key tile, though, because whoever draws the I could have... Whoever draws the X needs the I to have XI. That's a good point, though. XI is not very good when you have to keep all those consonants in your rack. In any event, Austin doesn't draw any of the vowels, so he doesn't have any choice but to play away consonants. Ooh, Diendrus. That would have been very cool. Yeah, so Akshay has come all the way back, and now Austin has a terrible rack and only 30 seconds to play with it. Austin plays Eland, and he's going to draw the J and the X. We have a final from Will Anderson and Sherwin Rodriguez, and it was a win for Will. Okay. So the U.S. takes the lead in the match. It was 5-5. Now it's going to be 6-5. Let's go ahead and make that change for you. And we'll see about this one. I think Akshay's a favorite, but they're both low on time, and who knows what's going to happen here. This is going to be a hard endgame for both players. So Dewey keeping IOSY. Tie score, 355 all. Quickly comes Jared for 29, keeping BLX. Akshay down 29 with IOSY. He plays SI for 32, taking the lead. And he's got OY on his right. He's going to go out, right? He's got spots to play Yo or Oi. He's got the Lido spot here. He's got the Yod spot here. Austin needs to play the X quickly. 4 seconds. He's got a spot for it. He plays that spot. Okay. And now Akshay's going to go out. And Akshay wins. Final score 417-409. A close game, and Akshay does come up with the win. Boy, both players down to their last few seconds. And Akshay pulls out a nice win. 417-409 is your final. Let's go ahead and update the score. It was 6-5 US. It is now US 6, India 6. We are all knotted up. Let's see who else is playing. Sounded like there was some fun stuff happening between Jesse and Aditya. Let's take a look at that one. And Aditya has a small lead here, and he's on turn. Does not have the E he needs for Tolarjev. Very sad. He does have Tolar Jai, but that is not a good play. Tolar Jiv. That is an option, I suppose. Vitro comes down. And then D Vane's the play from Jesse. He takes the lead with the bingo. 9 tiles in the bag. Aditya now up behind by 17. I believe that these are your correct scores right now, 6-6. We're still waiting on Dave Wiegand and Conrad Bessabishard for the US, and Nakul Prabhu and Diane Grover are still playing for India. So yeah, we still have 3 matches outstanding in this round, and the current score is 6-6. I see Will in the chat. Welcome, Will. Congrats on the win against Sherwin just now. We weren't watching, but we got some updates on your match. Looking here to see what Aditya can do. Down by 17, but he's got the J, some interesting stuff to score with. I mean, just Jag looks pretty strong. 42 points. But Akshay taking his time. He's got over 4 minutes to go. He's just going to take his time, look for the right play. He does choose Jag, and it's an awkward rack for Jesse. Yeah, he's got the Q, the K, the W. He drew all the weird stuff all at once. And I'm not sure what to do. For Jesse, he's got more time than usual. Over 2.5 minutes still on his clock, but with this Q and this W, this is gonna be rough. Ah, TWQ. It's a Wayman tribute rack. There you go. Yeah, there is just not much you can do here. Like, walk, what is the point of that? That doesn't really accomplish anything for you. You're still stuck with that gross Q and you just don't really have a plan for it. What is your plan for this Q? You can't exchange it. There's only 6 in the bag. You can't really play it anywhere that I'm seeing. Is there even a long-term plan? Anything you can hope for in a future turn with it? I don't really see much. Um, yes, twerk with a Q. Thank you, Marlon. um, yeah, this is tough. This is tough. And you've also got to worry about. I mean, it's a very nice pool of tiles unseen to you if you're Jesse. Aditya's got a nice balance of consonants and vowels. He's going to hit something at 15A in all likelihood. So it's just tough. Um, I'm not even sure like what your best case scenario like future turn outcome for the queue is. Like what can you hope for here? I just don't see much. Um, is there a tile you're looking to draw with it? Like there's one I for QI, which plays here for some points. Um, I don't think an A would help you that much. There's not really a great QAT spot or trank spot or anything like that. It's just really difficult. Yeah, can't exchange. Only 6 in the bag. So yeah, I mean you're just kind of out of luck, I think. Yeah, I mean really any tile but that Q on his record, he'd be fine. Like if he had an extra vowel, that'd be great for him. He's gonna play wetter. So getting word that the U.S. might go down 9-6. So India leads all the remaining games. You're saying interesting. Um, looks like they're all still being played at this moment, but we will definitely update the score when we can. If you guys want to share, oh, Nakul is up 200. Okay. As for this guy, I mean, Wetter gives Jesse a chance. I feel like, um, but I mean, it just gives back. Fobs is an easy. If I could type, Fobs is an easy 42, and it's just hard to imagine a scenario where Jesse wins after that. So, not a great situation for Jesse Day. Sounds like there's a Q6 situation in Dave's game. Let's take a quick look at Dave's game and see what it looks like. So Dave has a Q stick against Udayan Grover, but he's down by 65. And the thing is, Udayan can just score with the other tiles on his rack. That D and the R and the W are pretty useful for scoring. Yeah, so it seems pretty unlikely. Also, just on this board, what can Dave even do with that rack of sprint? I don't really see very much he can do that scores a lot of points. So that's probably going to be a win for Udayan. And we had word that Nakul is beating Conrad by quite a bit. I see Apron Fulls and Diandry on this board. Nice win for Nakul, it would appear. And then, yeah, back to Jesse Day. Jesse is down by only 7, but he's got the Q. Aditya's got a pretty easy play of fobs. Interesting that Aditya is taking a lot of time here. All right, so Nakul has beaten Conrad. That one just went final. So your official score as of right this moment is India 7, United States 6. And it appears that India leads the other 2 games too, so it could be 9-6 if the Indian players take care of business in these last 2 here. Yeah, Aditya really taking his time. He has to worry about fobs emptying the bag, but there's really not much he has to be afraid of. I mean, you can't fit a bingo in line 15 because of this V here in the 7th square. And there's really there's no fear, I don't think, of a word like Anird or anything like that beating you, because on this board just nothing plays. So it seems to me like Fobbs pretty clearly wins. I guess he's worried about what happens if he draws the Q, which of course we know that he can't. Wow, so Orbs blocking QAT, just brutal for Jesse. And of course, Aditya knows that he has the I, so he can't get hit by a QI at 15D. So Jesse, with 10 seconds left, a Q that just isn't doing much for him. He plays Drake. Looks like he's just given up on playing the Q. And all Aditya needs to do is score decently well. And he should be in pretty good shape here. He plays F for 50. Oh, he's going to slow play out. Wow. Yeah, he can just one tile away with Jesse holding the Q. And this should be a pretty easy endgame for Aditya, with Jesse just forced to pass every turn. He also might go over on his clock while passing. He's got 1 second to pass. There is, of course, the slight chance that this match comes down to a 12.5 tie, so the spread could matter. And Aditya milks every spread point that he can, winning by a final of 498-451. So the win for Aditya there. And now it's back to the Q-stick game between Diane Grover and Dave Wiegand. And it looks like Diane has lost contact. That's unfortunate. This game was pretty much over. I'm not sure if it was officially done. Looks like not quite. I think we're waiting on somebody to pass their turn in the end game. But in any event, it's going to be a win for Udayan, and it does look like it's going to be a score of 9-6 India. So let's take a look at the matchup as things stand right now, since we're pretty much wrapping up round 3. In round 3, we had Akshay versus Austin. That was a win for Akshay for Team India. We had Sherwin versus Will. That was a win for Will for Team USA. We had Udayan versus Dave, which is just wrapping up, and it looks like it will be a win for Udayan momentarily. I'll go ahead and count it. We had Nakul versus Conrad, which was a big win for Nakul. And we had Aditya versus Jesse, which was just wrapping up as a win for Aditya. So I believe your score is going to be 9-6. I'm just taking a quick look to make sure that everything's gone final between Dr. Bing and Udayan Grover, and it looks like it has, with a final score of 486-440 in Udayan's favor. So the score is official at 9-6. Let's talk matchups. In round 4, we got Akshay versus Jesse, Sherwin versus Austin, Udayan versus Will, Nakul versus Dave, and Aditya versus Conrad. If anybody has any preferences, let me know in the chat. I will try to play the popular demand here and show you guys what you want to see. We got to vote for Udayan and Will. Udayan is the last unbeaten player, really. Wow, so he's 3-0. Okay. Some other great matchups, too, though. Got to vote for Nakul versus Dave. Another Udayan Will. All right, let's go with Udayan and Will. Let's see who is playing so far. Looks like Sherwin and Austin are the first two to start, so I will watch them for now, and we can skip on to Udayan and Will. There's also some votes for Jesse and Akshay. We haven't watched any of Will yet, so I feel like it's Will's turn. We can watch Sherwin and Austin for now, and then jump over to the Will game once Will gets underway. as I see Will is going to leave the stream, which is a good idea if we're going to be watching him play. So right now we've got a rack of 10 guns for Sherwin, which I believe is a word, right? 10 guns? Yes. And Sherwin is taking his time here. Not sure if he sees it. He does. He plays 10 guns and fabs. So if you're just joining us, India has taken the lead here in this Virtual World Cup final. We were tied 5-5 after the first two rounds, and then 6-6 after the beginning of round 3, and then India, with 3 straight wins, getting victories in the games played by Nakul, Udayan, and I've already forgotten who Jesse was playing. That was Aditya. And now it's 9-6. India with the lead, and the U.S. facing a lot of pressure now to come back and close the gap and give themselves a chance to win in the final round. India with a clear advantage now, but a long way to go. The U.S. can definitely still come back. Austin Shin on turn right now, down 87-0, so a rough start for him against Sherwin here. We are going to be watching Will Anderson and Udayan Grover when they get started with their game. But for now, let's stick with Buaz and Nitsua. Nitsua is, of course, Austin spelled backwards. I'm seeing a word of bageler, one who makes and or eats bagels. I'm one of those. Not a real word, but I still see it. Sue me. Yeah, beeliner, also not valid. What about beeflier? Like somebody who likes beef more than somebody else's beeflier. All right, B is the choice. That's good. Okay, looks like Will is getting started in his game against Udayan, and Udayan has the first blank on his opening rack. So that is Grovering you, Udayan Grover for India on your left, and on your right is Wanderer 15, Will Anderson for the U.S. If you're just joining us, this is the final match of the Virtual World Cup. We are about an hour away from either India or the United States being crowned champions of this tournament. We began the tournament with 16 teams. We cut to 8 for the knockout rounds, and in the knockout rounds, it's been high drama, with India winning just barely 13-12 in back-to-back matches to get here. 13-12 over Australia, 13-12 over Canada, and the U.S. beating Singapore and Pakistan to reach this World Cup final. India and the U.S. Team India on Independence Day, celebrating their independence from the United Kingdom with a chance to win the Virtual World Cup title. Right now, India leads 9-6. James, to answer your question, yes, the UK is the only team to beat India so far. Both teams are 4-1 in this tournament. India's 4-1, losing only to the UK, 13-12, and the US is 4-1, losing only to Ireland, 13-12. So neither of these teams has had a bad match the whole tournament. Their only loss for each of them was a 13-12, very, very close one. James was, of course, the hero of that win for the UK over India. It was a big comeback in the final round. India was up 12-8, and the UK won all 5, with James getting the final win to make it 13-12. That was the only loss all tournament for the Indian team, and they are now in the final with a chance to win it all. So, looks like Will exchanged after the opening play of Avo. Yeah, so it's Avo for 12, keeping DOT blank, and Will went for exchange 5. And now Clotted is the obvious play here for Udayan. I don't think there's anything else that's worth considering. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, there's Dolcetto. I'm not sure if that's a better play, but it's cool. All right, so Clotted does come down, and it's Anostuy for Will. No 7-letter word in that rack, and the only 8-letter word is through an M. Who can find that one? The answer would be autonyms. Was Dolcetto miss? I don't know. Is Dolcetto really better than Clotted? I don't really see the appeal of it. Um, it's also one of those words you don't want to play unless you really are confident of the hooks on it. Dolcetto does take an S, and if you're not sure of that, it's kind of hard to play it. I see Puneet in the chat. Hello, Puneet. Wonder who you're rooting for here. These are your two countries going head to head. I think you're correct that the U.S. has not drawn so well the last few games, but hey, long way to go. The U.S. can definitely still come back. I believe that by wins, the top two players in the tournament are Will and Aditya, but that's giving them extra credit for playing more matches. And as mentioned in the chat, yeah, Ganesh had a very good record before Malaysia was eliminated. Looks like Udayan has again lost his connection. We're going to wait for him to come back. Yeah, Udayan's had some connection issues throughout the tournament. He's been logging off and logging back on again a lot in this event. Let's just hop back over to the Austin game while we're waiting. We can kind of go back and forth a little bit. This is a close one between Sherwin and Austin. We can always jump back and forth a little bit. Seeing as that game between Will and Udayan is not as far along, we can always return to that one after this one if we'd like. Definitely a close game now between Sherwin and Austin. 10 Guns was first blood for Sherwin, but it looks like Austin came right back with a thing of his own. He got rulering down. Difficult rack now for Sherwin. But Frond is a nice score. ACEGHIS. Nice balanced rack for Austin. Not sure if there's really a standout option here. You have the clear hotspot for the H. You can play something like Ah. That's not incredibly exciting for you, keeping that weird CG combo. I don't believe that Rulering takes an S, but I can certainly check on that. It does not. Okay, so no, GI or oh, actually Gish would be 52. But yeah, that's not valid. Oh, also Gish isn't valid either, so I don't know anything. Ganesh, nice find. You can play Ganesh. All right, Chip is the play, keeping ages. And ooh, looks like Sherwin is drawn well. He's got domains, Daemons, Madison. He's got bingos from the sea. Unfortunately, can't play Admonish through that H because it won't fit. But plenty of options here. Mondanes is one option through this N. But yeah, there's a lot of options here. He does choose Mondanes. And now for Austin, it's a tough spot here. You don't have a bingo. You need like an A for semi-gala or something like that. Nothing quite works. Difficult position for sure. Oh yeah, Magnesia was blocked by by the play of Mondanes through the end. So lucky break for Sherwin. Probably didn't even realize he was blocking the best spot for Austin to bingo, but he was. Game is a nice choice from Austin. Scores well, and ooh, Sherwin has drawn terribly. Q, V, W, more consonants. Very bad. Might want to just trade those in. You hate losing a turn in this position. Only up by 41. Austin can come back, but I think you need to exchange. I don't think it's worth just playing the Q for 21 points. That's just, that's a really rough lead you have with it. But maybe Sean will consider the Q play. Is there anything else besides exchanging and playing QI? I can't really think of much. Again, TWQ. TWQ is showing up a lot. I would be inclined to exchange more tiles here. With both blanks unseen, you want to have more chances to draw them. Ooh, he chooses QI. That gives him just one bite of the apple to draw that blank. We now know that Austin doesn't have one either. I did not know that TWQ is pronounced Took. Thank you, Waven. That's really helpful. For those of you who are missing the inside joke, TWQ is Waven's username. All right, so I comes down, and that is 28 points for Austin. And fortunately for Sherwin, he's drawn a vowel. He played off the Q and drew the A, which is really the best tile besides the blank he can hope for, I think. He can play something like maybe Weta or yeah, Va. That's very solid. 43 points. So that A really bails him out. And Austin continues to draw not great. No blank, too many vowels. I mean, I see Ho, but that's really risky. You're just giving a free triple to your opponent. 77-point lead for Sherwin. Definitely a big lead, but not insurmountable. You got to score this turn and bingo next turn, and you're back in it. Yeah, the more you think about it, the more you think how lucky it was to draw that A. Really, any other tile besides the A would have been big trouble for Sherwin. I'm seeing a suggestion of Ohio in the chat. Not sure where that goes. Can't make II. Roman numerals are still not valid, so that's not an option. You can play Ohio here. That's pretty weak. Only 16 points. I think if you're Austin, you'd prefer to look for a higher scoring choice. You're down by a lot. You need to score well and bingo soon. You could play So. That keeps AEEI. That's, yeah, I can't see that being the play. This is hard. No great choices jumping out at me. Yeah, maybe Ohio. I don't know. Yes, thank you, Rick. I am a big fan of Sherwin puns. This is not a sure win yet for Sherwin. He still needs to play a little bit of defense. But if he bingos one more time, it might be a sure win. I've been making Sherwin puns all tournament long. I'm happy to have a partner in crime on that. All right, 77-point deficit for Austin. He's got to find a way to keep scoring to stay within, striking distance. I don't think that's a good idea, but maybe if you draw a couple of consonants or a blank or two, you could get bailed out there. What else can he do? You don't want in this position to give your opponent an easy way to score. Like if you were to play something, like O or like Ho, and your opponent just slams you for 36 or something right away, then you're going to be down even more, and it's just harder and harder to come back. I just don't know what the answer is, though. There's really not a lot of spots on this board to score well that, A, don't give your opponent a big play, and B, use more vowels. Like, you need to use the vowels on this rack, and it's just not easy to do. Yeah, 36 would be lucky, more like 56. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, if you play HOE, you're gonna get slammed pretty often. There are some heavy tiles still unseen, most notably the Z, but also, you know, V, W, Y, K. Those are not great tiles for bingoing, but if you're Sherwin in this situation, you love those tiles because you can keep scoring 35 with them and just keep outrunning. For Austin, he's got to play the H, he's got to play some vowels with it, he's got to pray for a good consonant heavy bingo prone kind of draw. He plays EH, so his lead was what? AEIOS. And if you can draw a blank and an R, something like that, you could have a chance here. Luckily for Austin, Sherwin is drawn pretty badly, but he plays Octet. And okay, here comes the bingo. Isoled, Diasoil, yeah, Diasoil for 90. Austin leads. The other blank goes to Sherwin, though. Okay. 8 in the bag. Sherwin holding the blank and all the heavy consonants except for the K. What can he do with those? Very interesting position. I mean, it was lucky for Austin that like basically Sherwin had nothing to put in that spot. Like he played EH to open the board and just Sherwin couldn't use that opening at all. But he's unlucky that Sherwin has drawn all sorts of good stuff here. He's got the blank, he's got the Z, he's got more heavy points going consonants. So now, boy, he's got Oye, but that's terrible. Gives your opponent a giant play coming back. Can't do that. Can't do that. Sherwin with plenty of time to think this through. Over 6 minutes. Austin, almost that much time as well. Both players have played pretty quickly. That's good for them. Tough situation. I think Octet takes an E, right? So Yez is good. Yeah, you could play Yez for 39. You don't have to bingo here if you're Sherwin. You can win this game just by outscoring your opponent and just kind of using the flexibility of the blank to your advantage. You don't need to bingo with the blank necessarily. It's going to be tough for Austin. You know, he doesn't have that many places to bingo. Sherwin has a blank. Austin, we don't know whether Austin has the other one or not. Almost a 50-50 chance that he drew it, though. So Sherwin now down by 17 points, 362, 345. I feel like Yez is probably the play just to score well and just kind of block up a little bit of real estate. Like after you play Yez, it's harder to hit a bingo in line 14. Like you're blocking plays that start from 14G, for example. So it's a little bit defensive, but more importantly, it just scores well and just kind of keeps a flexible point scoring lead for next turn with VOW blank. Probably not going to bingo, but on this board, that's okay. We have no idea what Austin's drawn. I mean, he could have like an easy bingo into the C that scores 80, or he could have garbage. We just don't know. He could have the blank. He could have a bunch of A's and R's and no blank. A lot of possibilities here. Wide range of outcomes for sure. As for this match, all 5 games in round 4 still being played. No results to report yet. The U.S., of course, needs a big round here in round 4 to come back. They're down 9-6. They would love to go 4-1 here and tie it up 10-10. All right, so Woozy is the choice for Sherwin, burning the blank, leaving 3 in the bag, and Austin is drawn not great, but he does have the blank. Maybe that he can make a 2-tile play that sets up a spot to bingo. Actually, maybe he should just play or. No, I don't think that works often enough. It's hard to bingo in 2 spots because you look at this spot on the left side of the board with the C open, And your letters don't go very well with the C. Um, I mean, you could maybe, if you play lore, you could try to draw disgrace or birdcage. You have options. Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, org is another similar play like that. Yeah, plays like lore or org are definitely worth considering here. Org would keep ADLR blank. That probably bingos more often with the C than the rec with the G and does. Austin with plenty of time to think this out. In a pre-end game like this, you don't want to just fish blindly to bingo stem looking racks. You want to think specifically about what words can I hit. You want to look for things like disgrace or birdcage or dialogic or what have you. Austin, of course, has very, very strong word knowledge. If there's anybody I trust in this position to find the bingos he has playable and really make the most probable choice, Will's somebody I trust. Or Will, sorry. Austin is someone I trust. Will is too, but Austin in this case. Ooh, seeing that the Will and Udine game is tied late. Boy, do we really want to switch games, though? This is tough. So Will Udayan and Sherwin Austin both close. This is gonna be tough. I agree with you, James. I think we want to see the end of this one. I think there's a fascinating position here with a chance for Austin to fish for something. Oh, there's still 30 tiles to go in Will's game. Oh, we'll watch Will later then. Okay. Thanks, Brian. I didn't realize that. All right, let's definitely watch the end of this. So, a lot of votes for Org being the player. I assume we mean Org from this O, right? ADLR blank. How many bingos does that hit into the C? That's what I'm wondering right now. It definitely hits some. ADLR blank C. Yeah, you can get articled, file card, heraldic. Yeah, there are things. Okay. Of course, all the words I just said hit the same rack. You need to draw EI. You could play radicals with AI. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can hit with org. Jeremy says A-E-E-E-A-I. So basically all the vowel combinations work. Okay, that's good. Oh, Barladuke. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's a good point. That yeah, pretty much any draw of two vowels works here. But that's a lot of consonants to dodge. K, R, V. Does AU not work? I guess it doesn't, huh? You'd have two A's. He plays Ord. Wow. The unseen tile pool is Regalia blank. I think that's going to work. I mean, we can iterate out all the possibilities, but my brain's too tired for that. But I think in all likelihood, Ord is going to work. I don't think there's going to be a way to block both bingos, obviously, and I think that in all likelihood, they're all going to play. So if the A is in the bag, he's got allergic into the C. Yeah, I think there's of a lot of racks to hit in both spots here. Brutal position now for Sherwin. If you're Sherwin, what you ideally want to do is iterate through all the possible unseen tiles in the bag and count which spot do you get bingoed on most often. I don't think with 2 minutes on his clock he can do that, but he's going to do his best. At first glance, the D looks scarier, so you probably want to block the line 15 rather than line 1, but again, in an ideal situation, you would count every single tile and count every single bingo and do the math. That is what's unfortunate about these But these 15-minute matches is hard to do really complicated endgame calculations like that in a 15-minute game. So Wayman says there's no bingo with AACEGLR blank, which means you probably want to block the D and hope that there's an unplayable bingo through the C. Yeah, glaciers is definitely an option. Glaciers or allergic. And if he has that rack that makes glaciers or allergic, and he also has bingos through the D, such as dragline, etc. Oh boy, I'm getting a chat from Will that there's some Udayan internet problems. Let's see if we can get that sorted out. But for the moment, all right, he blocks. Wow, he blocks the D, and sure enough, it looks like the exact rack that Wayman said was going to happen happened, and it looks like Sherwin is going to hold on and win this thing. That was the exact situation you wanted to avoid if you were Austin. You did not want to draw AAEGLR blank with the C. Wow. So if he had played Org instead of Ord, then he would have something, right? Caldera blank. There's probably something that has a C late in the word. He would have had Land Race or Pedal Car, yeah. So if he played Org instead of Ord, he would have won. But instead, he's got AAEGLR blank. He could misspell algebraic, play algebraic, and hope that his opponent doesn't notice, but that's not going to work. Yeah, Wayman, I think we've all learned to stop predicting things. This has been an unpredictable tournament from start to finish, really. So yeah, Ord comes down, Sherwin blocks the D, and Austin now with 25 seconds to find a bingo that we happen to know does not exist. Sherwin has Via on his rack. It goes out at 14A. So you got to worry about your opponent going out too. Just a brutal situation for Austin, who had a real chance to win this one, and it just didn't work out. I'm not sure if India needs just the one win in round 4 or more than that. Or you mean round 5, right? Oh, we've got some results here. Okay, so Nakul beat Dave Wiegand. Okay. And Sherwin does win this one over Austin, a 445 to 403 final. So that's 2 more wins for India. Akshay played Jesse Day, and Jesse Day won. Okay. And we're waiting on Will and Udayan to get their situations sorted out with their connection. Not sure about that. Let's watch Conrad and Aditya. Conrad leads this one. Okay. Oh, it's very close. RY blank on Aditya's rack. Let's go ahead and update the score. Based on what we know so far, we've seen 2 wins for India and 1 for the US. So the score was 9-6. It is now 11-7 in favor of Team India. Now, that is not counting this game here between Conrad and Aditya. And I believe we're still trying to figure out what's going on with Udayan and Will. Is that correct? And it looks like, yeah, they have adjourned their game. It's not over yet. And I believe we're trying to figure out some connection issues, but it looks like Udayan is online. So Conrad plays Honer, putting him ahead by 36. And Yarn, very nice. Wow, Aditya wins by 1 with a beautiful play of Yarn for 29 to win it. Crazy. 431 to 430. Aditya wins by 1 point. And that is just an incredible finish. So that is win number 12. And that is going to push the U.S. to the brink here. So it's 12-7, and we're still trying to figure out what's going on with the Will Udayan game. It looks like there was an adjudication because Udayan logged off. But we can go ahead and share what we know so far about this match. In round 4, we've had so far is a game between Akshay and Jesse. That was a win for Jesse, a crucial win that the U.S. need to stay alive here. So the U.S. gets this one. Sherwin versus Austin was a win for Sherwin for India. Udayan versus Will, we're still not sure. Going to figure that one out. Nakul versus Dave was a win for Nakul. And Aditya versus Conrad was a win for Aditya. So we're currently looking at a score of 12-7 with a game between Will and Udayan that is currently undecided. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that one, but in any event, the U.S. needs to run the table. And it looks like if we take a look at what was going on in Will's game, boy, it was a close game. Will was ahead 282 to 260, and then because Udayan was disconnecting, ISC called the game off. I think the best course of action here is just to continue playing the match, and if the U.S. wins all 5, we might have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't know what the best choice is for that situation, but at this point, India just needs 1 win to pull out the match, and I would have to assume that the players for both teams are going to proceed with their matches as well as they can. But yeah, a dicey situation here. I mean, I'm inclined to say that because of the fact that Will was ahead and the connection was on Udayan's end, Will should get the win. It's hard to adjudicate this in real time while I'm streaming. This is obviously not ideal, but I think for now we should just continue playing the match. Let the U.S. try to come back and win this thing. Let the 5 players play their 5 opponents in round 5, and looks like there's really not much that can be done as far as that Will and Udayan game. But seeing as Will had the lead and the better connection, I feel like he was deserving of being called the winner. All right, looks like Jennifer's made a ruling here. She's going to be the director while I'm busy streaming, so we're going to count it as a win for Will. Obviously not ideal to have the game decided by an internet connection issue, but it is what it is at this point. We got to go ahead and call it. So we've got my favorite score, 12-8. You got to love these 12-8 matchups. They're always fun. And so if we go into the matchup here and just call it a win for Will. Here's the situation right now. We got 5 games to play. The U.S. must win all 5. It's Akshay versus Conrad, Sherwin versus Jesse, Udayan versus Austin, Nakul versus Will, and Aditya versus Dave. Those are your 5 matchups. Feel free to chime in the chat. Let me know who we should watch. But yeah, it's real simple right now. India is on the verge of winning the tournament. They are 1 win away, and the U.S. must win all 5 to save their tournament and win it all. So high drama here. I see a 1. That'll be a vote for Akshay versus Conrad. A 2, a 4. Aditya Dave is a 5. Okay, we have votes for everybody. I like to default to the 1 matchup if that's who if it's close anyway. Looks like a lot of Sherwin Jesse votes though. A lot of 5s, a lot of 1s. Somebody's saying don't watch 2. I see Ricky just really hates Sherwin and Jesse. All right. I think tie goes to the one seeds, and yeah, the final boss round. WTF, that's correct. The final bosses will be Akshay versus Conrad. But let's see who's begun their games. It looks like right now everybody is in examiner mode. I think maybe they're examining the will situation. But yeah, it looks like nobody has yet begun their games. As soon as they do, we will basically just begin watching whoever we can begin watching. But for now, we're just going to be playing the waiting game. Well, that's a good point by Ricky that yeah, Sherwin and Jesse can be the two slowest players. So if we watch Conrad as one of the faster players, we can watch somebody else after that. I like that logic a lot. Um, but you know, realistically, we're going to watch whoever starts their game first. Again, all 10 players. We're still waiting on them. Okay, here we go. We got Nakul versus Will. I'll go ahead and watch this one for the time being, and I will probably skip over to Conrad Akshay after that. But for now, we got ourselves a game, and I will bring up the board. An opening rack blank for Will Anderson against Nakul Prabhu. Again, the U.S. must win every single game from here on out. All the pressure is on Team USA. 12-8 is your score. The U.S. needs to win all 5 to win 13-12. Will with an opening rack of BEEOPT blank. It's a little bit clunky, but you can work with it. Definitely ways to play through this rack and angle for a bingo on turn 2 if you're Will here. Sorry about that noise. Just plug into my laptop. So Will plays Bope, keeping ET blank. I see the suggestion of beer pot. I like that a lot, but unfortunately, not a valid word. Looks like Dr. Bing has gotten underway, and so have Conrad and Akshay. All right, let's take a look at the Conrad Akshay matchup. They're already one turn in with an opening play of Fascia from Conrad for 28, and then Joko for 29 from Akshay. Back to Conrad with EILNOUW. If you're just joining us, this is the final of the Virtual World Cup. Team India with a chance to win the whole gosh darn thing. They are one win away. The United States must come back and win all 5 games here in the final round to steal this match and steal the whole tournament from India. Team India of Akshay, Sherwin, Udayan, Nakul, and Aditya has had a great run. They were the champions of Group A in pool play, overcoming a group that included Malaysia, Thailand, and the United Kingdom. And they have advanced all the way to the final now with multiple 13-12 wins. They beat Australia 13-12 in the first round of the knockout rounds, and Canada 13-12 last week in the semifinals. Does the winning team get anything? They get bragging rights. Lots and lots and lots of bragging rights. I'm not exactly comfortable holding online tournaments for money at this time, so we're just doing lots of pride on the line. If the U.S. wins, this will be disconnect gate. I like that. So for Conrad, EILNOUW. What to do here? Pride is worth more than money. I agree with you. When I played in Alchemist Cup for the U.S. team in 2018, I honestly don't remember how much money we were playing for, but I certainly know that the bragging rights were important. And I'm certainly still angry about Australia beating us, so I can say firsthand, the bragging rights are very, very valuable. It looks like almost everybody's begun their matches except for Austin, who's still waiting on Udayan. It looks like Udayan has signed off again. This is not good. We are waiting on Udayan to sign back on. Austin will be ready when he's back. Okay, so Udayan is back online. He has signed off and on and off and on a lot of times, but he is now back. All right, so for Conrad, a nice play of Owie for 33, a good score. And he now leads Akshay 61-29. Little bit of a difficult rack here for Akshay. He plays Gout. Ooh, nice play. I had forgotten that that was a word. It is, though. Nice play. And the rack of Alunite for Conrad doesn't appear to play anywhere. Yeah, no Alunite. No R or S or D. None of the letters you want here with this rack. I see Brian in the chat saying some good starts for the U.S. in this round. Will ahead by 90. Okay. Oh, facial is a word. Okay, Alunite and facial. That appears to be the play. And I would imagine that Conrad is capable of finding that, even if I'm not. So, likely to be a 71-point bingo for Conrad. And there it is. Ooh, but it gives together. Together should come down either through this T or through the other T. Both pretty similar plays. So for Akshay, he's got a chance to come right back with a bingo, and he does. 76 points for together, and now, I see nice cheese word, very tasty Havarti is one option for Conrad. Not the best rack ever, this AAHIPRV, but there's ways to score well with it. You can also play like Pav. You got your options here. Almost Pahlavi, that's true, yeah. So, AAHIPRV. Yeah, Pav is a bit too bold. I would agree with that. You don't want to get back an easy counterplay. And yeah, Pav gets hit with pave words pretty often. Havarti, though, despite I see Puneet's protestations against cheese, Havarti looks like a good play here. Just cleans up the rack, tries to draw one of those 2 unseen blanks or 4 unseen S's. There's lots of fun stuff in the bag you can draw. I don't mind the high turnover play. None of these leaves are so great that you really need to keep them. Like APIR is fine, but not super exciting. Oh, Hepar. Hepar is nice. Huh. So Conrad chooses have. That's probably some sort of deliberate choice that Conrad's making for board controlling reasons. He does things like that. All right, so I see QI right away. Looks pretty obvious for Akshay keeping IMRRS. There's also Squirm. 28. Can fish for an E for Squirmier. That's kind of interesting. But nah, he just plays QI, which is totally reasonable. So our turnover is still a thing, it's just selectively. Like if there's all the blanks and S's unseen with halfway through the game, like you might want to turn over a couple tiles more. Just depends on the situation. I think in this situation, turnover is not bad. Ooh, so the update from Brian that Aditya with an 89-point bingo putting Dave in some trouble. Okay. Again, the U.S. must win every single game to win the tournament. All the pressure is on Team USA. And let's just take a quick look at the other games. So you mentioned Dr. Bing. After the big bingo from Akshay, he's in trouble. Yeah, so Bing is down by a Bing. He's got some interesting scoring tiles, but we'll see. Will is leading Nakul by 78. Okay. Jesse has a small lead over Sherwin, but still early. And Austin has begun playing Udayan. Still early in that one, but he's got a small lead. Okay, so a lot can still happen. We will see. Definitely want to hop around a little bit in this final round just to keep some tabs on the other games. All it takes is one for the U.S. to be eliminated. India is on the precipice of winning this thing. It's been an impressive run for Team India. They were, according to their WESPA ratings, only a 3 seed in their own bracket. They were ranked lower than the UK, ranked lower than Malaysia, but they beat Malaysia head to head. They finished ahead of the UK in the standings. They moved on to the playoffs anyway as the champions of Group A, and they have now had back-to-back big wins, or sorry, small wins in the playoffs to get here. So for India, a real chance to win it all. Great point by Ricky in the chat that the U.S. had the same situation in Alchemist Cup. They need to win every single game, and we came close in Alchemist Cup. I think I won my game, and I want to say Dave and Will also won theirs, and we had a chance to win from down 5 games, but it didn't work out. In this situation, the U.S. again has a chance to run the table and steal this match and steal this tournament. But right now, Conrad is behind a little bit against Akshay. We saw Dave was trailing against Aditya, so it's going to be tough. I want to let you guys know that after this match is over, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a post-game show. Jennifer is going to be on hand and interviewing the players from the U.S. and India after their games. So after we get a final result here between the U.S. and India, I will coordinate with Jennifer and try to get that post-game show lined up. We will have post-game interviews with the players, and so don't go anywhere. And then I believe after that we're going to raid Benji's stream, so we can all watch Benji after the World Cup's over. So it's going to be a fun Saturday of Scrabble all around. I see Paul in the chat. Hi, Paul. Yeah, it's the same matches as always. It's 13-12 is needed to win, and so India is 1 win away from winning the Virtual World Cup. We are in the final round, and right now the U.S. is in trouble because Conrad's down a little bit against Akshay, and Dave Wiegand is currently trailing, I believe, against Aditya Iyengar. So India is very close to winning this thing, but it is not over yet. Conrad only down by 18 points. A lot of things can still happen here. ADI, KPRR, the rack for Conrad. What do we see here? So, not a great situation. Yeah, I see Parky is suggested, P-A-R-K-I. Where does that play? Oh, making QI. Yeah, that's a strong play. Okay. 33 points, keeping DR. Just getting word that Jennifer is ready with the live lounge. So once these players finish their games, we will have Jennifer with her post-game interviews with the players. But of course, right now, all games are still in progress, and India just needs to win one of them to win it all. Wow, getting update that Dr. Bing is only down by 1 point. All right, let's take a quick look again at Dr. Bing. 218 to 217. Aditya with B-L-O-O-S-S-V. A little bit of an awkward rack, but the S's are pretty useful here. I see a spot here for an S. So yeah, lots of possibilities here, but we got a close game. That's going to be good. Let's take a look at Cool versus Will. It looks like Will is going to win this one in all likelihood. He's up by over 100. Okay. Sherwin and Jesse, I believe, are playing. And Jesse leads this one. Okay. As for Diane and Austin, it's close, but Austin has the lead. Okay. So the U.S. needs to win all 5, and that is honestly not out of the question. Definitely still alive. Let's go back to Conrad and Akshay, our top overall seeds. Again, your players listed on your screen are playing each other in order. So the 1 seeds are playing the 1s, Austin and Conrad. The 2s and the 2s, Sherwin and Jesse, and so on. Seeing some predictions of 5-0. It certainly could happen. We will see. We will see. We are minutes away from finding out whether India will hold on to win the Virtual World Cup or whether the U.S. will come back in dramatic fashion to win this thing. 266, 251. A small lead for Conrad here. Oh, wow. I see that Parky blocked Republic into the sea in scrim. Conrad probably had no idea that Parky was blocking the only bingo, but it was. Look at that. Republic would have played. Yes, and Belpuri, which cannot be spelled without the H. No H on the board for Belpuri. So Blip is the choice from Akshay, keeping ERU. And that looks interesting for Conrad. Nazards, I believe, is a word. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, Nazards, but no, there's a spot for it. There's Audi Knights. So a bingo on the rack for Conrad. Oh, also sandbars through the B. So even if he doesn't find Nazards, which is kind of tough, he could still have sandbars. So Conrad should bingo here, and he should take the lead. And he does play Nazards. Nice find. Okay. And now it's going to be back to Akshay with the pressure on here. I don't believe he has a bingo. He needs an E for Muleteer. Yeah, okay. So Akshay now down by 59. There is, a hot spot down here where he can score something. Actually, can he? I'm not really sure. My knowledge of the fours is pretty rusty, so I'm not actually seeing anything, but there probably is one. EEL MRTU. There's no trum, right? Maybe he doesn't have anything there. Oh, team. Team's a word. Keeping LUR. Okay. So something like that looks pretty reasonable. Scores 36. And you just got to hope to draw well after that. They're definitely still... Oh, trem is also a word? Jeez, I don't know anything. Thank you, David. So definitely a close game here. Let's jump around again. Let's just take a look at the other games. Again, the U.S. needs to win all of these to win the tournament. Will Anderson leads Nakul Prabhu. Dave Wiegand down by a little bit against Aditya Iyengar, but he's got an interesting rack. Could bingo soon. Jesse Day in a very close one now with Sherwin Rodriguez. And Austin Shin has the lead over Dion Grover. So again, the U.S. needs to win all 5. Let's go back to that Dr. Bing game. Oh, rewarded is a non-bingo play from Dave through EW, scoring 31. Dave may be trying to draw that blank. Core, KHOR, making lock, LAWK. And now for Dave, he's got the blank. The high tone overplay worked. Take that, Cesar. Just kidding. And let's see here. ABIIMO blank. Not that many 8s. There's what binomial? How many are there? Ambition is a word. Yeah, not many 8s at all. Those are the only 2. Ambition, binomial. Ambionic is not a word, unfortunately. Let's see here. So Dave, you're down by what, 39? I don't think you can bingo this turn, but you are definitely still alive here. Just play through these vowels and try to hit something next turn, and you are in this thing. What is the best way to do that, though? Not super easy. So let's see here. Hi, Amit. If you're wondering who's talking, it's the guy with his name on the bottom of the screen in big letters. Am I in a tunnel? Really? I thought I fixed the sound. I thought it was doing well. I apologize for that. Oh, it says the Austin game is Paul. Okay, I'm guessing that there is another disconnection issue with Udayan. That's unfortunate. So 287, 248 the score here between Aditya and Dave, and it looks like okay, Udayan is back, so that game has been resumed. That's good to hear. So what is the best way to block, or sorry, to not block bingos? Because I see some conversation in the chat about how if you play something like Ami, it scores well, but it also blocks bingo lanes from those letters and rewarded. Is there a way to score well without blocking things up is the question. Not easy to do, not easy to do. Also, Dave's getting low on time, which could be a problem here. Definitely a tricky situation. All right, so we're getting an update that Will Anderson has won his game. So that is one win for Team USA. Let's go to the scoreboard. The score was 12-8. It is now 12-9. Take a look at the matchups here. Game number 4 between Nakul and Will was a win for Nakul. So it's Akshay versus Conrad, Sherwin and Jesse, Udayan and Austin, Aditya and Dave. India must win one of those 4 to win the Virtual World Cup. Back to the game. Dave has chosen Ami, and Aditya, in a close game now, only up by 10, has a lot of vowels. Some interesting stuff on scene. The Q, the V, both Y's, the F. The blank is on Dave's rack. Dave kept BIO blank. He could draw a bingo ending in that C up top in Corgi. He would love to draw, something like, I don't know what, but something. Something ending in ick. So the other 4 games are still in progress. Yeah, Will did win against Nakul, and the other 4 are all still playing. So the U.S. needs to get wins from Conrad, Jesse, Austin, and Dave, all 4 of them, to win the Virtual World Cup. Aditya ahead by 10. Benefit in the chest is the U.S. is leading all the other 3 games. Wow, this could get really, really interesting at the end then. We have seen some 5-0 comebacks before. In fact, we saw a 5-0 comeback against India earlier in this tournament when the UK came back. And the US has a chance to do it again. But that's a long way to go. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. A suggestion of Uge, E-U-G-E. I would go here, 12 points. Wow, Aditya plays QV, opening the board. Wow. BDI-NOT blank is the rack for Dave. I don't see anything right away. What does he have? Nothing through the E, the triple triples, but Obedient does hit the triple and score 80. So that's definitely a strong option. Dave is low on time, 2 minutes. You've got to play something fast. So a risky play by Aditya, opening the board with QV with the blank unseen to him, and Dave does have the blank. Dr. Bing to play his Bing. And he does play Obedient. Puts him ahead by 44. EILNNPS, the rack for Aditya. Bing has under 2 minutes on his clock. Aditya has over 5. Checking on the other games, all 4 are still in progress. The U.S. still alive. They just need to win all 4 of them. No big deal, right? Getting word that they are leading in a lot of them. Let's take a quick look at those games. Akshay versus Conrad. Oh boy, Conrad ahead by 9. We might want to watch more of that one. Desi Day versus Sherwin Rodriguez, and Jesse leads by a bingo. And I hear there was a close one involving Austin. It looks like Austin is... Oh no, Austin's up by a good-sized bingo on Udayan Grover. All right, let's zoom in on Conrad and Akshay. They are in the endgame here almost. 2 tiles in the bag. It is Conrad on turn. He plays for 4. Wow. And the tiles unseen to Akshay are ADEIIS blank blank. it looks pretty likely that Conrad's going to have the bingo he needs. So by not emptying the bag, Conrad gives himself a very, very, very good chance to bingo out. In fact, he's guaranteed to have something like semi-arid through the R, even if there's a blank in the bag. Yeah, so as Brian says in the chat, any bingo puts it away. Oh, you're saying any bingo could put it away last turn, too. I think probably Conrad is safe no matter what, but it seems pretty safe to just make sure your bingo out, and it's going to be hard to prevent a bingo out in this situation. If there's a blank in the bag and the R is blocked, then it gets a little bit trickier. I was seeing the question whether the V stick loses. That's also interesting. Yeah, I agree that Conrad should still have this, but maybe there are some bizarre scenarios where Conrad's plan doesn't work. I'm not sure. All 4 games still in progress. The score remains India 12, United States 9. Cavell is the play, and oh boy, Conrad has both blanks. He's got 45, 50 seconds or so to find a bingo, and he does find sedating. So Conrad gets the win. And so the score was 12-9. It goes to 12-10. This is going to get very interesting. Let me just move the scoreboard so you can see it. Let me make the scoreboard smaller so you can see it. Jeez. So your score is the Indian team 12 and the U.S. team 10. 3 games to play. The U.S. must win the last 3. Let's take a look at the matchup. We just saw Conrad get the win over Akshay, which means a win for the U.S. in Game 1. So now Jesse, Austin, and Dave are the 3 players who must win for the U.S. to win the tournament. And now let's go to the games. All of them still going, it looks like. Austin is ahead by a whole lot. He's going to win, it looks like. Dave is... Oh, wow. We just joined Dave versus Aditya, and Aditya is bingoed. Dave was up by a bingo, and Aditya played Pensado for 74 right as we tuned in. That is going to empty the bag. Dave has 20 seconds. Dave has 20 seconds. He's got to play something. He's down by 8. AFIOORS. What can Dave play? He's got 10 seconds now. He's got to play something. He plays AFA. That puts him ahead by 25. Clunky rack for Aditya now. Aditya with over 2 minutes. Dave's lead was IORS. He's got Loris from the L in Pensile. He's got at least 1 out. It looks likely that Dave has got this one. We'll stick with it, though. Only a couple minutes on Aditya's clock, so we will have an outcome soon on this game. Wow, so India began this match ahead 12-8, and the U.S. now has a real chance to come back. They need to win 2 more games. Jesse Day is ahead by 99 points, I see, against Sherwin Rodriguez. And we're also waiting on Udayan and Austin, which I believe Austin is leading that game too. I mean, Dave has 5 seconds on his clock. Aaron in the chat says that Coirs, C-O-I-R-S, also goes out. It looks very likely that all we need to see is an outplay from Dave Wiegand, and the U.S. is going to win this thing. Getting a lot of word in the chat that Jesse and Austin also lead their games. But yeah, it's a very good point that the clock is a concern. Dave only has 5 seconds. He has to play very, very, very quickly. Ivy comes down, and Sori, S-O-R-I, Dave wins. Dave wins, and Jesse has also won, so it all comes down to Austin and Udayan, and it looks like Austin has it. Wow. So your current score, as it officially stands, is India 12 and the US 12, and it all comes down to Austin versus Udayan, and Austin leads by over a bingo with 1 in the bag. And there are loud noises in the chat, as there should be. 12-12, and yeah, it looks like Outed comes down, and the final rack for Udayan of Retinas is not going to be enough. Unbelievable ending to an unbelievable match. The U.S. is going to come all the way back from 12-8, and they're going to win this thing 13-12, and they're going to win the Virtual World Cup. Unbelievable. Udayan is just going to play out this endgame. He's, I'm sure, going to bingo with Strainer or something, but assuming that does happen, the U.S. is on the verge of pulling this thing off. A crazy comeback for the Americans. They needed wins in all 5 of their games. Conrad, Jesse, Austin, Will, and Dave, all with the wins in the final round, and they're going to win this thing 13-12. Incredible run for India. They came incredibly close to winning this tournament, and it looks like the U.S. will pull this thing out. Your final score is Austin 461, Udayan 407, and your final score in the match is the U.S. 13 and India 12. Congratulations to your Virtual World Cup champions, Conrad Bazabashar, Jesse Day, Austin Shin, Will Anderson, and Dave Wiegand, your champions of the Virtual World Cup with a final win over India 13-12. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a post-game show coming very soon. Jennifer is currently rounding up Team USA, and hopefully some players from Team India as well to chat about their games. But I'll just stall for a little longer while we're getting our players ready to go for the post-game show. I just want to say thank you to everybody who was involved in this tournament. Thank you to everybody who signed up and played. Thank you to everybody who helped with coverage, whether it was on Twitch or on social media or what have you. Just thank you to everybody who made this tournament possible. Jennifer and I did a lot to organize this and get it going, but we could not have done this alone. And it's really great to have like the whole Scrabble world be a part of this tournament. It's really great, and I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. And just what a great tournament. I mean, congratulations to India on an incredible run. They came within 1 game of winning this thing, and congrats to the U.S. of course for winning the whole tournament. I see Jesse in the chat. Congrats for your win, Jesse. But also, go to the video chat, go to the post game show, go talk to Jennifer. There's only so long I can vamp here. I gotta get on to the post game. But yeah, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's been an incredible run. Here at the Collins Coalition, we are going to talk about our next steps. We would love to have some more tournaments for you guys in the future. This one's going to be a tough act to follow because this was a really fun tournament, and it's hard to come up with something to follow this one because it's just been such an incredible experience having the whole world involved with this one. But we will definitely be back in touch with you soon, and we will definitely have some more Scrabble events for you in the future. If anybody in the chat wants to suggest any questions for the players to answer in the post-game show, I'd love to have that. Because we'll definitely have some interesting interview subjects coming up with Jesse and Conrad and Ding and the rest of the group joining us shortly in the live lounge, I believe. But if you have any questions you want answered, please do share them. Other than that, I'm just going to sit here and stall waiting for our players to show up. I'm sure that Jesse and Will and the rest of those guys are just kind of collecting themselves after a thrilling match. Again, this was a really, really close match all the way with all 5 U.S. players winning in the final round and a dramatic finish to the game between Aditya and Dave, with Dave winning with 4 seconds on his clock. So this was definitely an intense one, and it's definitely hard to kind of collect yourself after a match like this. So definitely can't blame the U.S. players for being a little bit slow to join us on the post-game show. I'm hearing that Dave Weekend has joined us for the interviews, and we will have some more players, I believe, from both the U.S. and India team trickling in soon. But as for me, this has been a thrill to stream these games. It has been really all tournament long. It's been a lot of fun. Dating back to week 1 when I was training, I believe, Nigeria, Pakistan, my first match of the whole tournament. It was just like a blast to stream that one, and it's just gotten more and more fun since then. So just thank you to everybody. And if you have any suggestions for what you want to see us do in the future, as far as future tournaments, if you want to see, more World Cup type action or more, I don't know, virtual Premier League or I don't know what. But if there's anything you guys want to see, hit me up. I'm available. You can always contact the Coco as well via social media, via our website. So yeah, if there's any way you guys want to compete in the future, if there's any kind of future tournaments you want to do, let me know. Seeing in the chat that doing this again wouldn't be the worst thing. I agree with that. Doing this again would be great. VWC 2 next week or Riot. I like that. All right. I'm getting word that the post-game show is getting lined up. We have players joining us in the live lounge. I'm going to sign off and transfer this over to Jennifer in just a moment. So again, for the last time, thank you all for joining us. It has been a lot of fun. I've been really just overjoyed to host this event, and I'm glad you all enjoyed it as well. So I'm going to sign off, and in a moment we'll have Jennifer and the U.S. India players in the post-game show. So I'm signing off. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.